What's up, y'all? Kofi Kingston here, and I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks, depending on what that drink is, preferably non-alcoholic, you know?
How's it going? The Celtic Warriors, James.
Soda.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Maple syrup.
Bella.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Welcome to the dive bar of the IWC. Welcome to Wrestling on the Rocks, episode 1. Again, I'm at Raph Marsh. We are at WTR, the show, and this is Thanksgiving. We're doing a Thanksgiving Day special, pre-recorded, so no chat. So if you're in the chat making comments, thank you and cheers to you. But that's the last you're going to hear from us direct. With me today to talk a little bit of Full Gear, which was awfully close to half-assed. I'm just kidding. MsAmandaJayne.
Well, hi. Happy Turkey Day to all my turkey buddies. So grab a drink like that weird eggnog concoction that you
That was
had.
great. It was fantastic.
It's still something.
I wish I had more of that stuff lying around, but I finished it all off. So good. I am having Terramana on the rocks today. What are you having?
I am having a Golden State cider today. We are doing
the little otter.
Yeah, little otter. I'm doing the Jamaica because I was calling it Jamaica and I was told wrong.
Yeah, Jamaica. Yeah, absolutely. It's all good. Very good. So, I mean, I feel like when I have Terramana on the rocks, it's like having the rock on the rocks. Double rocks. Rock and rock. I'm into it.
Or would it be Pebbles? No. Never mind.
No, it can't be Pebbles. That'd be little poops.
There we go. We didn't have that last episode.
It's hard to say. It makes a lot of episodes.
I know, but you had it in your hand, and I was waiting at one point, and you didn't do it. I was like, "Wow, there's a restraint. What's going on?"
It depends. It depends on when one leaks out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was
Good
like
stuff.
the first match on the show before, whatever they call it. What the hell do they call? I don't know.
Yeah, they had 0 hour for their pre-show. It did have 3 matches: Best Friends versus The Factory. It had Ricky Starks versus Brian Cage in a Full Gear World Title Eliminator Tournament semifinal. Oh, God, that's a lot of words for one match that just means regular rules.
Yeah.
And it also had Eddie Kingston versus is it Jun Akiyama? Is that how you say it?
Jun Akiyama.
I only watched the Ricky Starks Brian Cage match. I have no interest in seeing anything that has to do with Best Friends or The Factory, so them together felt like a really nice spot in my book. Perfect.
Yeah.
Get all the garbage out of the way right away.
Mhm.
And
I
then
did have
Eddie,
a question though.
what's up?
I know you didn't see it, but you kind of are versed in Danhausen. So what's the deal with like this dark, evil Danhausen with a jar of teeth and a spike? What's that
Yeah,
about?
it's like a more true to form Danhausen. He was darker, I think, on the indies in general most of the time, and by the time he got to AEW, he was just nothing but joke. And so I think it's just his slightly more serious side to it. I didn't watch the match. I did see that he came in like towards the end of it, which I always hate shit like that. When it's like, hey, this guy's in the match, but we're waiting for him. It's like, okay, so like so much shit is telegraphed. I think it's my absolute biggest gripe with AEW at this point is they're telegraphing everything so far out that people will tell you when there's going to be a surprise. Oh,
Yeah.
Danhausen's going to come out and it'll be a surprise. No, it won't.
No, Danhausen's coming out.
Yeah, you just said he's coming out. I know he's coming out. And it's like, oh, yeah, but it'll be like a different presentation. Okay, well, that's not a surprise then either. Like, if you can guess everything that's about to happen, none of it's a surprise, right? It's one thing foreshadowing, it's another thing to telegraph everything you're doing. But it's a darker side. It's actually a part of Danhausen's character that I enjoy more than what he was doing when he first got there. If I'm being honest, what I think is interesting about the teeth jar, and I don't know if he used them in there, so you have to tell me.
He
The
did.
idea, he pours it into somebody's mouth and then he'll kick
Mhm.
them. The psychology behind that is it's not illegal to have teeth in your mouth. Everyone already has teeth in their mouth. So if he adds teeth to your mouth, they can't disqualify him because it's simply what's already there. He's just adding additional. So his thought process is it's not breaking the rules because you already have teeth in your mouth, but it is psychologically messing with somebody because it's not their teeth in their mouth. So it's a more of a psychological thing than it is a damage thing. The spike, I don't remember the stuff behind it as much, but I know he had it. He used to use it.
He didn't use it. The teeth, it was clear. I was like, oh
Yeah.
look, Tic Tacs.
Yeah. No, they're
That-
real teeth. They're real human teeth.
No.
Yep. He gets real human teeth and they're cleaned and he never reuses them. Any teeth that are not in the jar when the spot's over, go away.
Oh.
So I don't know what he does with them. I would just re-clean them, re-sanitize them if you're just going to do it anyways.
Okay. Yuck.
Yeah.
That's not my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did
I
like
don't
to
know.
see that for Danhausen, to be honest. I did see the clip and yeah, I enjoyed seeing him get a nice little fresh coat because it feels like that you might be able to do more with him.
Mm.
So,
But I'm like, okay. It was weird. And I just was like, okay.
yeah.
Was it necessary? No.
Nothing that
Made no sense.
Danhausen's character does is necessary. The idea of the Danhausen character is that he's trying to make money. So he doesn't want to do things that he thinks might prevent him from making money. He doesn't want to
But
get
you don't get that.
disqualified.
I don't see that at all.
Oh yeah, they don't explain it well. But that's his idea: is you get money by winning. So he wants to win to make money. So he doesn't want to lose. So he doesn't want to get disqualified. He doesn't want to curse because he doesn't want you not on TV. And on TV, you're not allowed to curse. And all those things are wrapped around the idea of him trying to make the most amount of money from a character standpoint, which is kind of cool.
Okay, if I knew that, then okay, yeah, that's cool. Because you know who does a very good job of that is Toru Yano. That's his fucking shtick right there.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And he doesn't speak English very well, and and you already know what's coming. With him, it's all about being sneaky to get the win. It's about money. He'll promote whatever. I mean, he promotes his own brand of curry apparently, and videotapes, all sorts of stuff. And you expect that kind of sort of because it's very blatant and obvious.
Yeah.
This Danhausen stuff, I didn't know that. I'm like, oh, does it make sense now? Kind of. But I wish I knew that because then I think I would enjoy it a little bit more.
Yeah, I would say that's one of the biggest issues with the Danhausen character. And it has been since he was on the indies. The only reason I knew all that stuff is hearing him break it down in in a couple of interviews he had. But you'd have to watch everything he does to pick up on that. And it should be a lot more clear and a lot more evident right away. But Before we talk about Ricky and Brian, the other match on the pre-show is Eddie Kingston versus Akiyama. I know this was like a dream match of his, and he wanted to. I saw the end where he was bowing and looked kind of emotional. Really excited Eddie got to have that match. I wasn't gonna. I mean, it's cool, but it's not my dream match. It's fine that he can have it. I don't need to see. I don't need to see 20 matches in 6 hours. And watch everything that's just going to be a feel-good moment for every person. Like, that's fine. I'm really happy he had the match. Maybe eventually one day I'll go back and watch it, but as of right now, it's fine. Whatever. I'm happy he did it. How was match?
I'd say go back. If you get time, go back and watch it because it's really interesting. You can see with his match with Akiyama, you can see a lot of the influence in what Eddie does. One, and then two, this is the first time in a very, very long time they didn't make him look like a bitch. And
he's got to have the match he wanted to have is probably what it was.
Well, yeah, but not only just that too, but Eddie gets, I keep saying it, he's the Rodney Dangerfield. He gets no respect at all as far as AEW goes, Yeah. And I think this one really here, it rose his stock again. Like this is fucking Eddie Kingston. Even though, yes, he was emotional because afterwards he got really emotional to give him the mic and it was great. But I think that, is this a little too late for Eddie? Maybe. But it's good to see him in what his element is and what he should be because we've not seen that in, God, maybe like some of the first match since, he first came around. So
yeah. The reason I wouldn't say it's too late for Eddie is because I don't think that their audience isn't super receptive to the booking. They just accept what they're given every time.
But you shouldn't accept it. You should.
But they do. So I don't know that it's too late for him because all it's going to take is one win and one promo and okay, I'm totally bought back in now. They don't care how shitty the booking is to get somewhere. They're going to defend it till the end. So
I don't know.
I don't think it's too late for him. I think there's still an opportunity for him to even win a world championship if they just set the right date and time in the right location. People will just be like, I'm bought in. They don't need anything else around it.
Yeah, but you got to think about it. There's way too many people in line, not as many championships. And we all know how Tony is. So the likelihood
not
of
as
that
many
is,
championships. They have 24 championships on the air in 2 hours.
They don't have 24.
Yes, they do. Someone counted them all out between all the Ring of Honor, all the AEW, and if FTR comes out there, then you've also got like the AAA and New Japan.
IWGP,
yeah, like between all of the different people. Oh, and what was it? Sheeta came out the once with someone else's championship. Like there was a Dynamite not that long ago where it was 24 championships on it. Not a single match didn't have a champion of someone's. Which is it's just crazy, dude. Like,
I'm just sad that Cardona didn't bring his fucking internet championship. That would have been great, but
he should have.
He should have
been rocking it. But it's cool for Eddie. I'm glad he had that match, and I'm glad he's getting to do what he wants to do because at the end of the day, it just seems like with everybody there, you're just kind of sitting around and waiting for your moment, and the booking isn't going to be an indication of whether or not your moment is or is not coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let him have fun while he can. Let him make the money while he can. And hey, if he gets a shot, I'm all for it. I have no problem seeing Eddie do stuff. But I'm also going to watch everything everybody does if it doesn't matter. Speaking of doesn't matter, Ricky Starks beat Brian Cage at Full Gear for the World Title Eliminator Tournament semifinal, meaning he's going to go on to face Ethan Page on Wednesday, which was yesterday.
I said
so by now you will have seen that Ricky Starks lost miserably. I'm just kidding. I actually think he's going to probably pull it out. But I know a lot of people who think it's going to be Ethan Page.
I told you. Episode 1, I told all of you. Okay, y'all look at me like I'm an asshole, but I told you all. I told you. Ricky Starks, Ethan Page. Now, there's all sorts of interesting dynamics, as you already know. We have a new, I don't mean to go ahead all the way, but it'll be very, very interesting. But remember, I said it episode 1. I believed.
And I guess with Ethan Page and Ricky going down to the finals there, and with the new champion being We'll talk about it when we get there because I feel like there's a lot of complications with MJF right now. As
Yeah,
far
there
as
are.
trying to book them stories, it's going to
Yeah,
be
there
really
are.
difficult, I think.
There are.
So we'll see
There
how
are
we
quite a
do.
few. Yeah.
But the match itself was pretty cool. What I like about Ricky's sell jobs, so a lot of times we see super clear and obvious cooperation, especially in AEW. And I want to say that, yes, a good chunk of that falls on the performers for not trying to make it look natural in any way. But I'd also say that there's a good chunk of time when that's just production's fault for shooting it at the angle they'd shot it at. Like when we talk about that triple threat coming up, that whole match was ruined by production alone. If it was shot from different angles, it would have been the best fucking match. But every angle
Oh,
they
yeah.
picked was the worst angle for that to be shot at.
Mhm.
I just
Oh,
kept
yeah.
going like, turn the camera the other way.
I know. It was really bad. There's some points like I was like, why is the camera like? Why are we
Yeah.
using that stupid camera on the ring? Why?
Yeah, why are we using that camera
ring.
there? Why is that camera guy not moving when he sees what he's getting? Why are
Mhm.
they staying on it? Like, it was crazy. But
Yeah.
with that in mind, with Ricky and Brian, their cooperation, this is where I say that a large portion definitely does fall on the performers because you can see clearly here how a good performer can make it not seem that way. The cooperation they had was such that it was also a sell of Ricky on how strong Brian was. When Ricky had to jump into a move just because of like their differences in size, they did it in a way where it looked like Brian just yanked Ricky and Ricky flew because he's just that strong. And
Mhm.
it was really cool because it's all like, otherwise you'd see people just jump up on someone's shoulders. He was like, tug on my arm like this, basically, and it's going to look like you've thrown me onto your shoulders. Like, Ricky's sells are so awesome with Brian. Plus, Brian is that strong that I'm sure it was like these two performers working together to make it look natural, you know?
Mhm.
What the fuck?
Oh.
What is that? There's like a fucking truck backing up in the house?
My good Lord. Wow.
You're
Well, it's
telling me you don't
episode
hear
1,
that?
you know.
Okay.
As Marsh tries to figure out what the truck is backing up into his house, I will say that I think Brian Cage of
The
any
neighbor
of
with the
these
fucking
big wrestler
Penske?
dudes,
Okay.
I think Brian Cage is him and I'll say Jeff Cobb, okay, are the two of these really big guys that you think, holy shit, these guys are strong, you know, these big hoss dudes. And they, when they wrestle, for the most part, whoever they're wrestling with, they always have a way of making themselves really look that strong. Even though, yeah, I know both of them are very, very strong, but they just have this way about them when they're working. Because I've never seen it where it wasn't believable. Like one of the ones that I think is probably a scary match with like Jeff Cobb and Brody King, two big motherfuckers who like they're strong as fuck, and you do not want to see any of those dudes in a dark alley.
Yeah.
Man, that's some scary shit. But the great thing about those guys, all three of them, because I'll put Brody in that aspect too, is they know how to work it with anybody to show that dominance with it and make it look believable. So when you have like David and Goliath moments, yeah, that could be possible, you know.
Yeah.
And they work well with it. There's some people who are big who, you know, they don't move as well. So, but we'll get into that one when we talk about the horrible camera angles in the one match with, you know.
Yeah, so talk about Ricky.
Yeah.
This is your chance to talk about Ricky wrestling in a t-shirt and diapers.
Okay.
Why do you wrestle with the t-shirt the whole match? What was that about? Why?
Well, he was bandaged up. Now no one ever really quite explained what had happened between Archer when he wrestled with Archer and whatever. There was a interview segment that was on the interwebs that he was holding an ice bag after the match on his neck. But that didn't justify like his one arm being really taped up with like ace bandages. His torso was taped up with ace bandages. So I don't know if that was just a work and that's why he did it. I don't know.
Okay, but then that's a terrible work job. If your whole thing is that you're injured, so you're all taped up, show that you're taped up. Take the shirt off.
Cage should have ripped the shirt off.
Yes.
He should have.
Yes,
And that didn't
because
happen.
Ricky should have gone out there being like, I'm not trying to give away that I'm injured. And like you said, Kay should have ripped off the shirt, selling the fact that I know you're injured, and now everyone's going to see that you're injured. Like, why are you hiding it if it's
I know. That's
work?
where I thought was very strange. So then the trunks. Okay, I think I've said this before on episode 1 about white trunks. And I know specifically, I've said this about Ricky. White trunks look like a diaper, usually. There are certain people who should not be wearing white trunks. Ricky Starks is one of them. Because that whole time in the match, and okay, all right, you all know I'm that girl. It looked like he had a permanent wedgie the whole time. And I kept thinking to myself, Ricky, pull your tights so the wedgie comes out, because it was quite annoying. And I'm sitting there, there's one point where I'm like, oh, thank God he moved so it would, come undone. But nope, it went right back because Butt was eating his shorts. So, people, when you're getting gear done, men, make sure and the person who's designing your stuff knows your body type. Be confident in saying, you know what, I have junk or I don't have junk. Be confident in what you got. Because if you've got, a little caboose, and I'm calling Ricky he's the little engine that could with the big caboose. That's his theme now. So you need to make sure that they fit right. So, you don't see that, because it's very distracting. And that's my PSA on white trunks. Thank you.
Yep, there it is. It's here for the dude butts moment of the week.
Yeah, but even then, it takes away from the action, okay? And I don't want to be that girl, but I am that girl. But I don't want to be that. I'm not watching it for that.
Well,
not
solely. But otherwise, the match was great. Those guys work really well together.
I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was just good.
Taz was I thought Taz was very, very good on commentary for this one. I know we don't like Taz normally, but he was really great at pointing out a lot of the.
It's not even that I don't like Taz. I do
you don't like
Taz.
The yam bag.
I just think that he doesn't add much to commentary when he just sits there and tries to make himself laugh. Like, you're supposed to be putting over the story in the ring, and instead you're trying to make yourself laugh with your buddies you're sitting with because you don't give a shit and you just don't care, and what you're watching isn't that entertaining, so you're going to make yourself laugh. I get it, but it takes away from the moments in the story, and I feel like he does that too much. But in this match, he did not do that much at all. There was a couple moments where they made themselves laugh, him and Ethan Page. But there was a lot where he actually was adding to the story, and I was like, okay, good, because like I said, I like Taz. If all you're doing is trying to make yourself laugh on commentary, you're taking away, not adding to.
Oh, and by the way, we only heard yam bags once last night.
I don't care about the term yam bags. I'm just saying,
well, I know, but
when he does it,
Taz and the yam bags. Oh, then here's a counter. Taz said yam bags like 20 times now.
Anything else you want to say about Ricky and Brian?
Great. It was a really great match. I don't think it should have been on this undercard, but whatever. But
who do you think wins in the finals? Do you think it's going to be Page or Starks?
This is a hard one, and it goes into what we're going to talk about later with the champ.
Yep.
Honestly, I think you've got to weigh it two ways. You've got a story with Stokely Hathaway that's not resolved with MJF. You also have this little engine that could with Ricky, so what do you do? Someone's going to get screwed. Now, what I'm thinking is somehow Ethan Page is going to win. And this is going to set up a whole thing where we're going to get matches with like Ricky and Lee Moriarty, which I'm fucking there for. We're going to get a little feud. And I think that's going to be awesome. So that's where I'm hoping it will go. That's my prediction. It's going to go that way. Because if you give the little engine that could the shot against MJF, he ain't winning. He ain't going nowhere. So Ethan Page, I think, can afford the loss against MJF. Because I don't think that he really is in that picture. He's never been in that picture. So, all the stories that he's had, no. And especially when you hear some of the promos that Ricky is cutting lately, like again going the AEW Twitter, that he cut another one yesterday, and I'm sitting there like, they're priming him for something, but this is not the time, because it's not his time. And I feel for both of them, because this is a horrible time to be trying to, become AEW champion.
Yeah.
A horrible time. Because
MJF, it feels lose-lose. Feels super lose-lose. No matter who's going to go up against MJF is going to be fed to him and spit out. And I'm just trying to think of like who would it damage the least, because realistically, you're trying to build people who you think should be contenders.
Ethan Page, it damages him the least. Ricky, it's gonna that's like putting nails in the coffin. The promos would be great back and forth, but it's nails in a coffin. And Ethan Page can take the hit, because he's had such shitty things. His run with Scorpio Sky and all that shit with Dan Lambert. This shit. Yeah.
Yeah. So my thought is that between Ricky and Ethan, the difficulty you're going to have is that MJF is definitely and has been the heel, but he is so beloved by the fans that he's definitely the babyface. So if you have him go up against Ethan Page, it's kind of a heel versus heel storyline where people are still going to cheer for MJF anyways, but they're going to want Ethan to lose. If Ricky goes in there, you're going to have babyface versus heel promos going into it, but you're going to have people wanting Starks to lose. And if he's the babyface, you don't want him going in there with people wanting him to lose, because they're going to be like, oh, it's nice, but MJF needs to have a long reign and he needs this and that. And like, the fans are just so far behind MJF that no one's going to want either one of them to win to begin with. So,
and Ricky's got a lot of really great momentum now. People are finally starting to love Ricky Starks. Anyways, I have to go to being bitter, but I think that with Ricky now, definitely you can't kill that momentum. You just can't. I mean, he's overcome a lot of things, and remember in that one promo, he doesn't mind losing. He was okay with losing to Swerve and Keith Lee. He was okay with it. So with this, I think it's for him, it's the best move to do, because he's like, okay, it's my time, but you also have to be humbled, and this isn't your time, because it's somebody else's time. So it's very interesting that I think that they're going this route with some of the younger people that they haven't really exposed, and not the normal. So kudos to that, but it's going to be interesting how it all plays out.
They also both have a ton of momentum. So either way, you're crushing someone's momentum. So who can do the best with having stunted momentum to begin with? This is the first bit of momentum that Ethan Page has ever got. This is the third bit of momentum that Ricky Starks has gotten. So it's like, do we just start and stop with Ricky over and over again? Do we start doing start and stop with Ethan Page? Like, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like they really booked themselves into a corner there as far as like who's going to be sacrificed to MJF and who's going to take the least amount of damage. And I feel like that Tony's not going to consider that when he does it. I think it's going to come down to what kind of promos does he want to see? Two bad guys trying to bad guy each other, or a good guy and a bad guy trying to one up each other.
Well,
kind of makes me think that Ricky's going to win and then lose pretty right away.
No, I think they wouldn't build up that tension with Stokely and his gang without a payoff, because there's no payoff. There has not been a payoff yet.
Yeah. They need one. They could even have Stokely cost Ricky, and then you also, like, you could have Ethan Page win by Stokely's gang stopping Ricky, and then you can build more sympathy on Ricky and kind of continue to build his story while you get the MJF and Stokely thing out of the way right away.
Like I said, you'd be getting really quality matches. Like, who doesn't want to see Lee Moriarty versus Starks? I do. Don't need to see him against Enzo's old buddy.
No.
Morrissey or whatever. But, Ricky Starks, Yeah, that'll be great. I mean, if you guys want a sneak preview to, well, the match is a little jokey, but if you ever want a little sneak preview to like Ethan Page and Ricky Starks, they've wrestled each other, I think at Alpha One, Ethan Page's old promotion. Check it out. And you might see some peach action. I'll guarantee that. But don't be that person.
What did you think about the big return of Saraya? You had Saraya versus Britt Baker.
You know, when she came out, I was kind of choked up because I don't think that she expected the reaction that she got from the crowd, mixed with, oh my God, I can't believe that I'm here and I'm going to do this again. She was very overwhelmed with it.
Yeah.
And I think that going into it, I know, yeah, you haven't wrestled in 5 years, and her training was probably pretty quick. She didn't probably have a lot, but she didn't look as rusty as I thought she would.
Yes.
And to be honest, that whole match, she really elevated Britt Baker. Because
how?
Britt was kind of, well, I think it's because there is kind of that, what's right, there's a leadership quality, and I think the quality because she's had very big moments, like
I don't know what you're answering, so let me rephrase the question. You said that Saraya elevated Britt Baker. Britt Baker is the single top person in that entire division.
But she made her look decent and good in the ring, which she didn't. That was the
so
elevation.
She elevated her in-ring look.
Yep. It sure did. It sure did. Because she wasn't sloppy. She looked a little bit more controlled. She actually kind of looked confident in herself.
Britt actually looked rustier than Saraya by the end of the match.
Well, she did by the end of the match because she's not used to having someone that she's wrestling that has had that kind of caliber of like big time match. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was really surprised by the crowd here in that they were very receptive to Saraya coming out, but then they were largely non-responsive during most of the match. They did not really pop at the finish. They were chanting for Britt most of the match. And so there was I think they really built this poorly. If you have Saraya making a big return after 5 years of like may never wrestle again, and the crowd wasn't on fire to see her win a match against somebody big time, they were kind of like, oh, I guess Saraya won, golf clap. And it was really emotional and it was a big deal. Britt was really off on a lot of stuff. I felt like Saraya looked better, but Saraya looked better than I thought she would. She didn't look like she's the best wrestler that I've ever seen in my life by any means, which is also fine. But it looks like, hey, we are starting off at a really good foot. Yeah. And as long as she keeps getting better as she goes, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
I saw them talk way too much. They were chit-chatting in the ring about everything. Like, it was just way too much talking, I thought. Like, they weren't hiding it at all. You would see Britt run over, lean down, whisper something to Paige, and then run to the other side of the ring, and then they did the spot that she ran over to tell her. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. You also saw, too, there was a lot of hesitation with some of the moves that Britt had. But for the most part, I mean, for her, it was a good showing. And I think when you are in the ring with people who know what the fuck they're doing and you're not fucking putting your ego into it, then it's going to be good. That's where, like, her and Thunder Rosa, she knew she wasn't the good wrestler in that. And she had an ego. She didn't like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, you can learn so much from fucking Thunder Rosa. And yet you're going to fucking whatever, bitch.
Yeah. And I think Britt, not only was there a lot of hesitation in her own stuff, a lot of it was like really soft, really tappy, even her own bumps. Like Saraya was tossing Britt into something and Britt just like falls on her feet, then leans forward and then pretends she got hit. And you're just like, you're not even going all in on your own bumps, let alone somebody else's.
It's not like the match later with Toni Storm. Man, fucking Toni Storm. I swear to God, I thought she broke her face at one point. I was like, Jesus.
She broke her nose for sure.
Yeah. She definitely broke her nose, but I'm like, fuck. Even, when she would hit things, I'm like, oh, good God, her and Jamie Hayter. But anyways, I won't get into that yet. But yeah.
But yeah, I was happy with the match. I thought it was solid. There was a lot of stuff that was really weird and sloppy and stuff, but it was also like it felt like Soraya's first match back after 5 years. It also felt like Britt's first match in 5 years, which is the real unfortunate bit. Britt has no business trying to lead a match at all. She can't carry somebody. She can't make somebody look better than they're going to make themselves look. Like for Britt to be this high on the roster and this big of their division, she should be leaps and bounds better than she is. And that was, I felt like really eye-opening here too. Like there was just, how are you going to talk your way out of it? Like Saraya looked better than Britt. Why? Yeah. Saraya hasn't wrestled in 5 years.
Yeah. And it's because that's
whether you want to say Saraya is good or not, or has had more moments than her or not. Bottom line, if you've been wrestling in and out for 3 years and someone hasn't wrestled in 5, they shouldn't look this much better than you.
And again, but I will say this, I'm shocked that nothing happened after the match.
Yes.
Because a lot of people were trying to bank on someone coming out.
Well, I started that rumor. I started the rumor Sasha Banks was going to come out just because I wanted to watch the internet say she was going to come out. I'm a journalist now. I can do that. Yeah, on episode 1. If you make up enough news, people will go, do you guys think it's going to happen? And you go, oh, I heard that too. But you made it up. You know what I mean?
Well, I made up the whole shit about Ricky and fucking Ethan Page.
Yeah.
It happened.
It's true.
I had no insider knowledge.
Yeah. What do you think about the fact that this show had no surprises, no surprise debuts or anything?
I was going to ask you that question too, because we're always, like you were saying, every pay-per-view has some kind of, surprise or some big, person coming in and introduced. And I don't know. It was weird. It was very weird.
I'm glad they did it that way because I felt like if Tony had, I think it would have been a mistake because he has to rely on certain things, right? He has to know when he has to know when to leave well enough alone. You know what I mean? You already had the return of the Elite. You already had the return of the Ring of Saraya. To try to add someone else coming out would simply have taken away from those. You had the first match of Jeff Jarrett since he's been in. Like, you had enough firsts in this and welcome backs that you didn't need that. So I was really happy he didn't do that because it would have been just one more less than thing,
Yeah.
So
can we talk about the Elite coming back?
Huh?
Can we talk about the Elite coming back?
Sure, we can do that. Yeah, the Elite came back. They came back to Kansas's Wayward Sons. I want to know, before you tell me about the match,
what was that?
First off, Wayward Sons, like, fuck, they're like so on the nose and kitschy that it's so fucking annoying to me. But I saw a lot of people say, oh shit, Tony really had to pay a lot for that one. And you're like, yeah, he probably did. My problem is you've been to enough indie shows also to know everyone finds a YouTube link for their music when they come out and they use somebody else's music. And the 2 or 3 guys in the promotion who really stand out are the 2 or 3 guys who had somebody make them their own song. You know what I mean? Like, that's identifiably theirs. I've known a few people who had friends who were musicians or something and had their own song. And here's a flash drive with my music. Everyone else is using YouTube clips and, oh, wouldn't it be funny if I come out to this song because my name is this? Oh, wouldn't it be funny because my gimmick is this if I use this song from the radio? To me, when I hear a radio song, when someone comes out, I think Bush League. I think it sounds cheap, and I think it sounds India's shit. Like, it doesn't sound professional to me. I know that's not the case. I know that realistically it costs them, because they're on national TV, way more money to license music to play on national TV than it would be for them to just create their own music. But it just doesn't come off that way to me. Is that the same for you? Does it come off that way to you? Or does it feel like big time when they use someone else's music like that?
It doesn't feel like big time. What was interesting is I didn't know where that came from, because ever since they did, when they were in Ring of Honor in New Japan and they started doing the Super Kick Party theme, because that came from those days, that's like them, the guitar and the whole thing and whatever, right? The other one for me, because I saw them on in, PWG, they used to come out to Mbop by Hanson. I don't know the story behind it, but we always knew that was very Young Bucky. That was the Young Bucks. So this one threw me for a loop. I was like, okay. Don't know.
This has nothing to do with their indie thing. This has everything to do with the CM Punk thing. They're calling themselves the Wayward Sons because they were erased from the history books, because they nearly lost their promotion. They nearly got kicked out. We're the Wayward Sons now. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more.
Okay, I didn't take it that literal. Okay, I was just like,
it's literally that literal.
Okay, well, I did not.
It's fucking petty.
I did not.
It's a lot of money to be petty.
Excuse me.
Bush League.
Excuse me. Phil is fucking petty in Bush League. Everything he did.
Yes, he is.
So,
and I said that at the time.
Tit for tat. Okay. Where's Colt Cabana? Oh, haven't seen him in a couple weeks. Anyway, sorry. I mean, not be bitter. I thought he was going to come out with Nakazawa and all the gang. That would have been great. But anyways, he better wrestle in Chicago on Wednesday. That's all I know, Tony Khan. You owe him that.
Definitely is not.
You owe him that.
He's definitely not.
Anyways.
But I just had that thought process on the whole thing. Like, they're back, cool. I don't have a problem with them being back. I think it's good that they're back. I think the company's named after them. They should be in the company. But what do I know? I just thought that the use of Kansas was like immediately eye rolling. So I fast forwarded until I get to the match. I see the first 2 minutes and I immediately said, that is enough of that. And I watched none of the rest of it. It was so bad and so choreographed. It's typical Young Bucks high flying spot monkey bullshit that I don't like. And then I saw a couple clips online and there was even more shit that was way more choreographed. And I was like, oh my God. So I didn't watch any of it. I don't want to. They're going to do 7 more of these in a row. You saw that, right? They're determining a best of 7.
Yeah.
I saw some people being like, I ain't mad at it. I am. I'm furious about it. That's a lot of TV to fast forward through every week. Yeah. But
well,
what did you think of it? Because you like the Young Bucks, you like Kenny, you like the flippy stuff.
No, I don't like flippy shit.
You are an apologist. No, I'm kidding.
I don't like flippy shit for the most part.
Yes, you do. You've been going on about Flip Gordon for months.
Yeah, but Flip Gordon is
named after it.
Because he did gymnastics. Come on, give the guy a fucking break. Jesus Christ.
The thing is these guys aren't even good at it. Like, they're okay at it, but when you watch it, they don't move like a gymnast. They move like a kid trying to replicate what they do on
because
TV.
Because they did it at home and on a trampoline. Their dad bought a trampoline.
Obvious. And it's so
Papa
obvious.
Buck did that. Okay? Don't be hating on Papa Buck. Papa Buck's awesome. It's fucking good people. Him and Joyce. Shout out to them. Anyways.
Shout out to Joyce.
This is where I'm going to stop you, because what I liked about the match was it was great to see Kenny back in Kenny form, because most of his AEW run was, in my opinion, it was like, that was not the Kenny Omega that people thought he was. And if they thought that, oh my God, Kenny Omega, no, there was no shades of, this is the man that did 2 incredible 60-minute matches against Okada. That we didn't see that guy. We did see him on the pay-per-view. That we did do. And the Young Bucks, same thing. I have not seen them wrestle like this. This was like those New Japan days. Okay? That's what it felt to me. They looked healthy. Everyone looked healthy. And I was like, this is looking like when BTE first started in those days, back in that time. Because they're like 300-400 episodes in deep. But we're talking about like the first couple of ones. And it was exciting to me, because being that indie mark, it was like, oh my God, this is what they were. This is not what they were when that company started, because everyone was injured. Everyone, whatever. Of course, against the Lucha Brothers, you're going to have something that's really choreographed, because that's that style. Win, lose, or whatever. But I will say that it's good to see this configuration and a healthy Kenny and a healthy Bucks versus these guys. Because if you were to do this and Phil never happened and all of that, it wouldn't have looked the same. It definitely would not have looked the same. And I really think that it's nostalgic. And I mean, I know like with Klump, I would love for Klump to see it and get his take on it, because I know he was a Young Buck fan. But this is like the Bucks of old, the Bucks and Kenny of old. And that's why I enjoyed it. Because it's not this stupid fucking shilling whatever that Don Callis did with, you know, the stupid entrances with Kenny and all that shit. No, this is why they are one of the best tag teams in the world. And it's not a jokey thing. Oh, okay. The song, yeah, that was jokey. But for the most part, the wrestling was what they were known for. It's been a long time since we've seen that.
Yeah. I would tell Klump to watch it, but there's going to be 7 more that he has time to watch.
But the first one is the one I think that would be the most impactful, because remember, they haven't wrestled in a couple of months, and just to see that those couple of months, there's something, it's a little bit more refreshed.
No, you're wrong. Because they do the same match every time anyways.
Because it's going to go all the way.
Yes,
7.
and it's going to be the same one every time. There's going to be very little differences.
There might be.
It's going to be horse shit. I hope the first 3 matches are squash matches. I hope they go back and forth on it, and like the first 3 or 4 matches are like under a minute long, and everyone goes, "What the fuck?"
No, there's gonna have a couple of them that are going to be boom, boom, like quick.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think so. Because they can't, you know, they can't do these long fucking drawn out things week after week. Unless Tony has nothing to fucking book, and then of course, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
but
and it's super self-indulgent. I'll tell you this. So here's the other thing. The Elite lost this match, and everyone goes, "Oh shit!" And I even said it before. I said it on episode 1. I was like, "It's going to be really telling to see who wins or loses this one. If the Elite wins, it's back to business as usual. We're on top. We're doing what we want. If they don't win, then there's a good indication that the Elite is willing to put their egos aside potentially for the betterment of the show." Exactly. However, then they said they want to do 7 more times. That's self-indulgent as fuck. They want to do this 7 more times.
But you don't know whose call that was. It could have been Tony's call. Okay. Why are we going to, they're good Christian boys. Okay.
I have a really good idea that it wasn't Tony's idea to begin with before they even got out there. But that graphic was done before the match was over. I'll tell you that. They knew that was going to happen. Those dudes went in there and said, "Let's do this 8 times."
Wrestling is a predetermined sport. Come on now. Everyone knew it was going to happen. Well, we didn't as the public, but if you worked for that company, everybody knew. Just as everybody knew that MJF was going to become the champion. I digress.
Hello?
So yeah, but you must admit to me.
Take a drink, everybody.
I would rather.
These episode 1, Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I would rather watch the Young Bucks, the Elite versus Death Triangle over watching stupid Jericho, the Ocho, every week being self-indulgent as fuck.
I would rather watch a dog have diarrhea in my living room than 7 matches of Elite versus Death. It will be. I will bring in a dog and poison it.
God Lord.
I mean, not like,
can you name it?
Not like
Sammy?
Too much poison, just like enough, just to make it.
Can you name it Sammy because it's a little shit?
Yeah, a little Sammy Guevara running around here, shitting everywhere.
Yeah, no selling it.
No selling it. Just dead eyeing you while it's happening, like it's not happening. I'm watching it. Well, we'll see Wednesday. We'll see. I'm definitely not watching it on Wednesday. Yeah, you'll
That's
see
right.
that whatever it was last Wednesday. Ooh-wee. Wait, buckle up. 6 more times. By the time this airs, we'll have seen it twice.
Actually, no,
And
it'll be 5 more times.
No, 6, because it's best out of 7, and they already had one.
Yesterday was 1.
Yes, and then Wednesday, which if you're listening now, is Thursday, which will be the Wednesday, is going to be number 2.
Wednesday was 2.
Yeah,
So
2 out of 8.
More.
There's 8 matches. They're doing a best of 7. They're not going to fucking 4 on this one. They're doing all of them. This is self-indulgent as hell.
They are doing all of them. So there's 7. There's 7 matches. Okay, I know
Plus
I'm Asian,
1.
And I don't do math. No, it's not.
It's the best of 7 after this one. This one doesn't include the best of 7.
The graphic said Wednesday was number 2. You better go look. Because, man, you're trying to, you're making me confused, okay? I know I'm Asian and I'm supposed to do math, but you're screwing with my math.
Oh, you're right. Full Gear, match 1. Oh, thank God. We're almost through it.
See, there you go. There you go.
So
see, we had gone through 2 as of today. In the future.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So there's 5 more.
Every week. Fuck another one. Oh, God. I can't stand their matches. I wish I could.
We're just having a meltdown.
I wish I could stand their matches. I've only heard good things, but every time I watch it, I go, what the fuck are other people watching when they tell me they think I'd like this?
You got to go into it not with that attitude.
I go in it with the attitude of, all right, this might actually be a good one. And then they sit there and don't realize they're not in a fucking trampoline. And I go, what the fuck is this?
That's horse shit.
If I give it 2 minutes and I can't get through 2 minutes, I tried to give it more than 2 minutes. I'm not watching their goddamn bullshit.
I'll have to find 2 minutes for you that will make it undeniable.
Yeah, I guess. So I was the elite. Let's see. Let's talk, because I'm going to go up this list a little bit. I'm going to barrel over some stuff we did not watch. I did not watch Sting and Darby versus Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. I saw Sting and Darby 1. I was not thrilled with, I was kind of fast forwarding and watching parts of it. I love Jeff Jarrett. He's so good. And he looks so jacked right now.
He does. He looked really good.
Hitting Lane, nailing Darby with a guitar on the coffin drop, and then Darby no-selling it pissed me off. Because you know what it made it look like to me more than anything? People aren't going to equate it necessarily. Your coffin drop must fucking suck. You know what I mean? How weak is your finishing move is if you get interrupted by a weapon midway, and that wasn't even enough to hurt you. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're throwing your whole self at somebody so hard that they're done for. And instead of hitting a human, you hit a weapon and you jump right back up. You must be so weak that you can't even hurt yourself on the mat, which means you're not hurting someone else. To me, underplayed his own finish, underplayed the weapon itself. And at that point, I said, well, fuck it. I'm done with that. And I started fast forwarding again. I was like, why would you no-sell a goddamn guitar on your finish? That's the best time to sell that shit. Sting should have had to break it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
But did you watch the match?
I did.
Was it good? Otherwise, apart from that spot?
It was okay. I mean,
I think all 4 guys are good. I really do.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Jeff Jarrett did a lot more than I thought he was going to do.
Oh, he's badass.
Even Sting was bumping quite a bit for it being Sting.
Yeah, Sting's been bumping.
I didn't like all the interference.
Yes. There's
the Satnam thing and Sanjay's as a clown.
And was this supposed to be a no disqualification match?
I don't know.
Because that's the other thing is as I look through the list here of what people put out, even with a Bleacher Report put out a list of the matches, none of them say no disqualification, but a lot of these had a shitload of interference and weapons and no tags and the referee just standing around watching it all. And I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, no, but I would kind of assume that the guitar would be in play. So you kind of already, know that
So
it's
call it
probably
that.
no DQ, but
call it that. Because also, how cool would it have been if Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal were on the losing end, and Jeff Jarrett whaps Darby with the guitar and gets disqualified that way, and he goes, "Yeah, I was willing to lose the match to fuck this guy up."
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that'd been cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not Tony Khan. Tony Khan, he does what he does.
I have no problem with having a shitload of no disqualification matches, but I got a ton of problem of having a ton of no disqualification matches with a ton of weapons and interference.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I'll go for these guys.
Yeah, I'd say the latter half of the match was all interference and all that.
And they were fighting in the crowd for a long time and jumping off ladders and stuff. I saw all that and I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
The steel cage match with Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, did you watch that?
Yes and no.
I definitely didn't even try to.
I'm glad this shit is over.
Okay. Good.
But I think that it was, I don't remember who it was. Someone had made a comment about, because I guess that, I know someone had made a comment about, I guess, Jack and Luchasaurus and I think Miro all were training at this one wrestling school at the same time together in Los Angeles. And I want to say someone had made mention that, well, yeah, he's not the best of he wasn't the best of the three of them. And I thought, oh God. And you can tell. I really wish that they'd stop this fascination with Luchasaurus.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously right now, if you watch the media scrum, he's kind of starting to get away from being Jungle Boy because they announced him as Jack Perry Jungle Boy.
Yeah. And he should.
So,
the Jungle Boy thing has gotten real dumb.
No. And I think that, even when he was on the indies, like, I did not associate him with his father. For me, it was more of, I want to meet his father because I fucking loved 90210. Okay. Huge fangirl. Okay. And that was it. And this kid was so talented that, that's why I didn't care who his dad is. His dad could have been Satan for all I care.
Yeah. No one brought up his dad. No one. You did.
No.
I'm saying the Jungle Boy gimmick is stupid because it was just based off his hair and his hair alone.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything else was just to complement his hair. And it felt like you're trying really hard to make this thing work. Just be you, dude.
Part of it, too, was he didn't want to speak, too.
Yeah.
So that was a big part of it, too. So.
Which is worse.
No.
You know what I mean? Yes, it is.
There's some people who should keep their mouth shut.
There's a lot of people who should keep their mouth shut.
How you doing? How you doing, Ocean Spray?
But if you're going to be a wrestler and you want to be good at it, you better start talking.
Some people still need to keep their mouth shut, though.
Yes. Nyla Rose and Jade Cargill, I didn't even try to watch either. Jade Cargill won. She looked like...
That was awful. Let me say, Jade Cargill is awful. Nyla, I will say, Nyla has gotten a hell of a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
But Jade Cargill, that was horrible. Her gear was horrible. She did a Thundercats tribute, and it was not happening. Shout out to Nyla's entrance. It was very Eddie Guerrero. Came out in a lowrider. And I love that Vicky now has a shirt that says, I'm your mommy.
No, she does not.
Yes, she does.
No, she does not. That's a Rhea Ripley shirt that she was wearing. Rhea Ripley has a shirt that says, I'm your mommy, because she's been saying mommy to Dominic. She was wearing a WWE licensed Rhea Ripley shirt on AEW.
Oh, she was.
And that was fucking cool.
I didn't realize that was Rhea Ripley's shirt.
Yes, it was.
Oh, well, shit. Now I got to buy one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah. But that was a cool entrance. And Marina Shafir looked really good as a Chola. I was like, you go, girl. It's a better look for you with the brown, like, burgundy lipstick and the flannel shirt buttoned to here, open.
That's funny.
It's a great look for her.
That's pretty funny.
I was like, I hope you went home and you and Roddy hit it. That's all I know.
Oh, my God. Let's see. Let's move it along. TNT Championship match: Wardlow versus Samoa Joe versus Powerhouse Hobbs. Hobbs eats the choke. Samoa Joe gets the victory and the title. Double champ, 2-time Joe. Samoa Joe, the unified TNT and television champion of Ring of Honor. It's kind of a bummer that Powerhouse Hobbs was thrown in here just to eat the loss so they could protect Wardlow.
But that's okay.
This match was largely ruined by production alone because these guys were really doing some cool stuff, and the camera always caught the space between the hits and not the side that they're coming from. So it was always just watching them with everything and then pretend they got hit, and you're so like, fucking just get a different angle, guys. Like, we know that's how it works, but when they're good and when you shoot it well, we don't notice that's how it works. So it was really shitty that production tried so hard to ruin this match and make a bunch of really big, tough guys look like little sissy play fighters. And that bothered me because these three dudes really went out there and tried real hard to make this look like an awesome, hard-hitting match. And the cameras were just against them the whole time. It was three guys versus a cameraman is what I felt like.
And then the ones mounted on the ring posts.
Yeah. Yeah.
They need to get rid of that.
Whoever is deciding which camera to use and when needs to be fired and bring in literally anyone else. I'd rather a homeless person who's never seen TV give it a shot. Because this was fucking terrible.
Oh, yeah.
But these three guys are badasses. There was a lot of showing of crazy power. Powerhouse Hobbs did that fucking body slam thing on Samoa Joe that was sick.
Oh my God. That was me.
Yeah. I was like, God damn. I think Wardlow does a little too much flipping around. I think that he could be a little more grounded, and I think that'd be fine. I thought that both or all three of these guys tried to jump around a little too much. So it started to feel like you started to forget they were big. And I feel like that when you are that big, I should feel like everything you're doing is tough as nails. Samoa Joe went for a senton while there was a pin happening, and the camera caught him missing both of them completely. And then Wardlow like jumps off and holds his head, and they're like, "Oh, he hit him right in the temple." And I'm like, with his back? What the fuck? Like, he just whiffed it because he's supposed to, because you're supposed to shoot from the other angle. So stupid.
I sat there like the whole time. I'm like,
so
oh
good.
God. Like
They're so good and they're protecting each other so well, and the cameraman is protecting none of them.
No. And also,
they wish they had Kevin Dunn.
You know, I'll tell you, I really think with Wardlow was very humbled, I believe. Because you have two of these dudes, these big dudes, who, because Wardlow's only had who he's faced, these wussy little dudes.
Yes.
He hasn't really, to me, established himself as he can throw the big guys around, you know?
Yeah.
Hasn't done that for me. I mean, and of the three, I think that he was probably the weakest of the three. Because like Joe and Hobbs were in the league of their own.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the shit that they were doing. And it was almost kind of like, okay, Wardlow's just doing his thing, but it doesn't seem as effective.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But then the cameraman's made it unwatchable.
And then they made it worse. You know?
So
yeah. I really feel for those guys.
It sucks to see a good match be ruined by camera work. Yeah. And that's what this match is. This is almost a perfect example of how you can do everything in your power to execute correctly, and someone else can fucking ruin the whole match for you. How about one of them guys?
Yeah.
We do got a double champ now, Samoa Joe. The second Samoa Joe with 2 championship titles, they say.
Yep.
Ring of Honor World Championship match. Oh, say what?
I didn't like Hobbs eating the pin.
I didn't like Hobbs eating the pin either. I wish that Samoa Joe would have just... Because now what you've done is you've eliminated the need for Hobbs to be in the conversation of either of those titles. But now you're going to have Wardlow versus Samoa Joe and matches around that. Hobbs has no stake to any claim.
No, I think Hobbs will come in though. He
doesn't need to, and
he shouldn't. Asserted in there because the one thing that but here's the thing that saves Hobbs. The commentary really saves Hobbs. fucking JR and his goddamn love of fucking Will Hobbs shone so through in that despite all of the camera flubs and everything, his words made Will like look like $1 million.
Yeah.
And he's going to be in that picture because everyone was, there's all good things being said about Will, little side things here and there. Taz was doing it. Obviously, JR led that charge. Even Excalibur to a certain point had to, and he normally really doesn't go that route with certain people. But I thought that, with Hobbs, yeah, he's okay. He's beloved by everybody. So he can take a loss here and there, but it would have been nice to see Wardlow have the loss.
Yes, but he can take a loss here and there, but it again goes back to the idea of like, yes, their fan base does not give a shit about booking because they will accept him being in here, but there's no reason logically why Hobbs has any business facing either of these guys again for a long time or being near any of those titles because he was definitively outmatched.
I feel he will be.
I feel he will be too, and I feel it will be forced, is what I'm saying.
No, it's not going to be forced. Okay, I'm going to say this. My home gets 3 AEW shows. LA didn't get a pay-per-view. I'm getting a fucking pay-per-view. I'm getting a Dynamite, a Rampage, and Revolution is now full pay-per-view instead of being episodes of Dynamite. And I will say this. If Will Hobbs does not either A, win a title at one of these things or walk in the champ and retains, don't come, Tony Khan. Seriously, don't come. Because
you're proving my point. You said no and then proved my point. That's exactly why it's forced. And that's exactly my point, is that this booking, as it stands, has eliminated Powerhouse Hobbs from any conversation around either of those titles. You're saying that it's not forced because they're coming to town, so he should have one, is literally the forcing of the issue. That's my point.
No,
you can't go back on it once they've done it. They did it. He's done. He has no business there. So now when they put him in there because of where they're going, it will be forced. Bottom line.
But it could be, there could be someone else who takes one of those away from Joe. Not a
Absolutely.
Wardlow.
And it could be
and
Hobbs.
Then you bring it that
but
way.
It's forced. Hobbs lost definitively again, is what I'm saying, when it comes to both those titles. And he was the one pinned. He has no room to stand on. That's the fact of the matter. That's where he's at.
Wrestling. It's not.
That's exactly the point.
Regular wrestling. So that's why you got to know that going into it, that anything unusual. As far as I know, like who knows? Danhausen can come in and go, I curse you. And,
or they can win a battle royal or a poker chip or golden underwear. I don't know. There's a bunch of reasons that Tony gives to force people into stories, but it's obviously forced. And that's what I'm saying. For them to keep him in here, they're going to have to force him in one way or the other. How they force him in, I don't know, but they're going to have to. If they're going to keep him around those, and if they're going to give him anything for when he goes home.
Well,
but it will be forced.
People and Ricky also think because I think winter is coming is in Texas somewhere. I don't know the date of it.
Texas doesn't get winter.
I know.
Why do you do that?
Right? Just like spring break was in a wintry place this year.
Oh,
not spring break, but whatever their the beach bash or whatever the fuck they called it. Yeah. It doesn't snow. Yeah. But again, like I said, if I don't get Sting and Snow, I'm going to be very upset.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Because
let's see. Ring of Honor World Championship. I didn't even try to watch. Chris Jericho retained, which is funny to me.
I will say this. I'm really bummed that Danielson or Claudio didn't get it. They both looked very, very good. And I'm thank fucking God. This is what I'm thankful for Thanksgiving. I'm thankful that Guevara did not get the title because there was a point where he almost could have. And my gripe, Guevara never sells. But he was selling for Chris Jericho. Why is that?
Mm-hmm.
Brown-nosing little fuck.
He owes him.
Owes him what? I don't know. But it was great not to see his bitch come out and they tongue each other before he goes to the ring. It was great not seeing that.
I did not watch any of the World Tag Team Championship match either with the Acclaimed or Swerve in Our Glory. I saw a bunch of people have been saying for weeks they thought that Swerve was going to turn on Keith Lee, and then I saw some clips where it looked like they were arguing. So we're staying on track with the choreographed or the telegraphed stuff. Did they actually split or no?
Well, the way it looked as if they did, like Keith Lee walked away. And it was the first thing that happened was Swerve took one of the guardrails and had kind of placed it so they could throw somebody on it.
Yeah.
And Keith Lee was like, "What are you doing?" Like, no, don't want to do this, right? And Swerve's like, "Oh, come on, whatever." And I believe it happened again later where, it's the pliers, like they did with Billy Gunn to snap the fingers off. Yeah. And he brought him out. He was giving him to Keith Lee, and he's like, "I don't want that. We're not doing it that way." Yeah. And then basically that was pretty much it. So they're pretty much almost guaranteed they're done. We'll probably see them face each other. And I hope in a way that Keith Lee does kind of squash Swerve. I love Swerve, but just so we can see him in other things. Like I would love to see him in Samoa Joe. Yeah. I mean, that's one I think that would be, I've been wanting to see for the longest time, just things like that. But definitely the Acclaimed, they are very beloved. So I don't think that those belts are going to come off them for quite a bit of time.
Yeah. And I get why they're loved. Yeah. But those four dudes are all pretty good. So I imagine it was probably a good match though.
Yeah, it was a good match. It was a very good match. Bowens, I think, was injured coming into it. His arm, because everyone was saying he was in a sling since like Wednesday, and you can tell he was hurting pretty bad. It wasn't selling. It was you could see it in his eyes, But definitely, it was pretty good. Not gonna lie, I mean, I do like the Acclaimed.
Sure.
We didn't see Daddy Ass till I think toward the end, and
Speaking of selling the arm and the injury, I just want to circle back real quick because I forgot to ask you about this. In the Saraya Britt Baker match, the first bump Saraya took, she pretended to have a neck injury, pretended she couldn't crawl, pretended her arm went numb, and tried to recreate the moment that we've all seen over and over again where she gets kicked in the back by Sasha and is unable to get her bearings back. And that was the final injury that did it. What did you feel about her playing so heavily into that? And then looking at the crowd and laughing, just kidding. Because I found that to be really tacky. And
it was tacky.
Yeah. Okay.
I was like
yeah, I was really annoyed the moment she started doing it. And the crowd didn't even eat it up. The crowd was also groaning. Like, oh no, we're pretending this now. And then she looks at the crowd, she's like, They all just went like, yeah. Like it was one of the reasons why I think the crowd was kind of behind Britt, is they were kind of like, okay, then, like
you can't joke about that kind of shit.
It was fucked up, especially because this company can't be the company to break Saraya's life. You know what I mean? Like they desperately need this to go off well. And she's like, wouldn't it be funny though if I was like paralyzed? And you're like, no, it's not funny if you're paralyzed. Like that's what it felt like. It felt like her being like, gotcha. And you're like, who was the joke on? No one wanted this. Yeah. Paralyzed. Gotcha. You thought I was dead. And everyone's all like, that's fucked up. That's what it felt like. And it wasn't the only time I felt like that. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just was wondering if you also thought that was tacky or thought it was kind of clever or something. I was like, I didn't need it.
It was not clever. It was kind of fucked up. I thought, I'm like, that's karma. That's bad juju.
Yeah, that's not good. Because then when she does it again, they're like, she's joking about being paralyzed again. And they're like, it's really weird that she's like, can't move though, right?
Like,
especially with how shitty their refs are, you cannot be giving them false fucking reports, man. Better pray. Was Paul Turner the ref in that one? He better have been. He's the only one who would have saved her life.
You can't freak Paul Turner out about shit like that because Paul Turner takes his shit seriously.
That's
like
what I mean.
Paul was like when they got in the back, don't fucking do that.
He probably had to have been tipped off before because he would have stopped the fucking match. He probably looked at her and was all like, "Are you fucking around or not? Because I will fucking end this match right now."
Yeah, I think so. I think
she's like, "I'm kidding. I'm just kidding." And he's like, "Not funny. Get up."
yeah, that's a Paul Turner move right there. Like, Paul Turner. That's why I love referee Paul Turner. And I'm glad he's a senior official. It's like, no. And I will have a little bit of gossip here about Paul Turner. So people with Ring of Honor, they brought back Bobby Cruz and Riccaboni is doing stuff, but some of the referees are not doing Ring of Honor. Wonder why.
I don't.
Yeah, Todd Sinclair's been noticeably absent.
I don't know what that means.
Well, I think there was a lot of tension between him and Paul Turner.
Oh, all right. All right.
And of the two
Paul
of
Turner
them,
ain't nothing to fuck with. He's the Wu-Tang Clan of referees.
Exactly. Man, fucking Paul Turner's good people, man. And I will say this, like with Paul Turner, okay? Of the two of the referees, Todd Sinclair was absolutely shitty. You talk about shitty refs,
and I do.
He's up there with some of them AEW ones. He's not on Aubrey level, but then again, no one is. And I really wish someone was going to punch her again last night. I was hoping to God, like someone punched that bitch again because it was the best moment of the show on Wednesday for me. But
so I was gonna say the last two matches were like my two favorite matches of the night that we're about to go over, and then I realized that the main event actually was not part of my top two. If I had to, I think that my top two would have been Tony and Jamie and Ricky and Brian. If I really had to look at it, John and MJF we're going to talk about. I'm not going to say it was a bad match. It was not a bad match, but I think Ricky and Brian was better, and I'll tell you exactly why. But before we get into John and MJF, because that's the big fish to fry here, we do have the All Elite Women's Wrestling Women's World Wrestling Women's Championship match interim. Tony Storm versus Jamie Hayter. So Jamie Hayter won after a shitload of tomfoolery, after literally breaking Tony Storm's nose, and the crowd was still solely behind Jamie the whole time. This to me was such a crazy anomaly because I know my frustrations with Tony. And a lot of it stems from, if I'm being honest, and I usually am here in the dive bar of the IWC, a lot of the things she said that was pretty snide about Thunder Rosa, I haven't loved. And it's made me view her slightly different here and there. I still like her. I still think she's great. I even still think she makes a really good champion. And I understand that part of the snide behavior is that, hey, when you're the interim and you feel like you should be the world, like you might start poking the bear, right? Because maybe we're trying to lead to a match. We're in the business of conflict, as Becky likes to say. You're providing that conflict. But it was driving Tony, in my mind, a little heelish in my mind. That's like, all right, well, when Thunder comes back, I want her to stomp your ass because you're being snide about my Thunder Rosa. Now, I ain't having that, right? And so I thought, hey, we might be building to something. It might be fine. And maybe these feelings I'm having, this little grudge, is a work. And I'm getting worked. And I love that. And I want that, right? But why would their audience feel that way in a match against Jamie Hayter, where the other people who are far more vocal and detrimental to the reputation of Thunder Rosa are involved? Jamie, Britt, Rebel, these women are the ones spearheading this anti-Thunder Rosa movement, and you're booing Tony, who seems to be just prodding at the story. Like, that was the part that was really confusing to me. But they were chanting for Jamie the whole time. Even the very first false finish, where Jamie didn't win, the crowd was like, oh, and started booing. And I was like, holy shit, they really want Tony not the champion. And I have no idea why. I thought she made a great champion. And I thought that we were poised for a really good match. Her and Thunder were teaming beforehand. I mean, the story was all there. What the fuck happened here? How did the crowd turn so far against Tony that they blew a gasket? Jamie winning the championship was the biggest pop of the night thus far that I watched. There was half the show I didn't watch, so I don't know. But the ones that I watched, there was a bigger reaction for Jamie Hayter winning than Saraya coming out for the first time in 5 years. Saraya winning the first 5 rows slowly stood up as they put their phones away. They were texting the whole time anyways. This one, Jamie Hayter wins and pow! It's everything we ever wanted. What the fuck? What happened? How did Tony become such a bad guy here?
Well, the only thing that I can make sense of it is that Thunder Rosa is beloved by a lot of people, and you don't fuck with that.
But Jamie fucks with that. So why would you cheer
Well,
Jamie?
but here's the thing, though. Okay, what we see out there, that storyline that we are seeing, she's part of. But backstage, the politics behind it, we don't know what her involvement is. We don't know what her involvement is.
But wasn't the story that Thunder Rosa was hiding from Jamie Hayter after the match in the bathroom? Wasn't that one of the stories trying to go around that turned out not to be true, but that everyone's still saying is? Jamie Hayter chased her or some shit. So that's what I mean. Something. Like, but for me, you don't fuck with beloved Thunder Rosa, but like both of these women have, and so why were you? I just don't get why they turned.
But again, I think that also with Tony as well is I think that, remember, this is a product of Britt Baker over here with Jamie Hayter.
Yeah.
So, because Rebel came out, did her tomfoolery. Britt came out, did her bullshit. And again, they love the DMD. So whatever. Now, I think also if this pay-per-view were to happen in a different area, there would be different reactions. If you did it in Chicago, there'd be a different reaction. If you did it on the West Coast, there'd be a different reaction.
I agree.
And I think that most of it would be very pro-Tony and not the way this seems. Because New Jersey is way too close to Pittsburgh and all that bullshit. And those people all travel. Because unlike here, you can travel for 5 hours and hit 5 states. Here, no, I travel 5 hours and I'm barely in LA.
Yeah.
So that's my thought with it. And I think that it was kind of shitty, but it was a fucking excellent match. And I mean, I like Jamie Hayter. This is her time, but I know her time's probably going to be very limited because it's going to go back onto DMD. And where will those people be then?
That's true. That's probably happening. But I agree. This match was fantastic. I thought it was awesome. I was bummed that Tony got her nose broken. I do feel like this is a bit of a weird spot, though, right? So they were doing like the back and forth, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, trading the old forearms. And then Jamie lands one clear on her nose. And it's one of the problems with when you have like, I don't know. I don't know if I can verbalize the problem, but to me, the issue was you see them selling, and then all of a sudden you see something actually hit. You see Tony's head go flying right back. Her head comes down and she stops selling. 3 more hits and she's not moving. And then she just kind of like leans forward, does the headbutt, falls down and lays on top of her, basically telling her, my nose is broken and I can't see straight. Hold on. And so you went from selling these things a certain way to actually selling a real hit because it happened. And suddenly everything that just happened seems phony now. Oh, that's what a real hit looks like. Like your sell job should be so good that we always think you got hit, right? That's the problem with this back and forth, the 1, 2, ooh, 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 ooh. It's so phony that if someone actually gets hit, it looks 1,000 times different than what you just did for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is why I like the way that Sammy and KO do it. Because they grab each other by the head and they just keep laying it in on the side. And they're both like squinting and just like, oh God, like just taking the hits is to me more believable than these little weird like, ee, ee,
yeah.
Ee.
But women though,
are
different than men.
Yes, they are.
Okay.
I've been told.
What?
I've never met one, but I've been told, yeah.
Okay. Well, in that kind of situation, it's vanity, man. I mean,
a part of it. I mean,
want to get hit
but
in
even
the face,
well, there's that. Her nose was crooked and swelling by the end of it. Yeah, I was like, shit. And then that changed the whole dynamic of the match. After that,
and that headbutt to the exposed turnbuckle didn't help her either.
No, that didn't help. But her nose was you already saw her nose at that point was like twisted up at the top and swollen. And bleeding. Like if you look, there's a couple shots where you can see that her nose up top here is shifted over some. It was like, wow, she had that John Cena nose.
I never noticed that about his nose. I wonder why.
No, there's a match where, I mean, you've never even looked at his nose, but there's a match that John Cena has with Seth Rollins where his nose gets broken really early on and he wrestles the rest of the match. And it's amazing. I'll find it and send it to you because it's just his nose is now on his cheek. The whole nose just moves and it's insane.
That's
but,
okay, John Cena. We're not looking at your nose.
Yeah, your nose isn't your moneymaker, pal.
No, clearly no.
What?
I am that girl.
I mean, if he broke his butthole, there'd be a problem.
If I don't want to know.
Shifted butt cheek.
Dude, no.
Can you imagine? You know how like some of the guys' chests blow out and they get flat in the middle? What if that happened to his butt? It's just like flat on the bottom, deflated in the middle area.
Well, it would be really weird if he had like a butt implant and it popped.
Ooh, popped butt implant kind of look. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, women have that in the ring.
What's when they have the
ODB.
China. Oh,
and China, both of them.
China revolutionized implants in general because she worked with someone who made them to find a more sport durable version, and that was but yeah, you know how like the guy like Kofi and Jericho, they have that it's a genetic thing that can happen where it like kind of collapses in the middle there. I just imagine that happening on John Cena's butt, but it also makes me wonder if you'd have a harder time like keeping in farts in general, you know.
I didn't go there, producer lady. Okay, that right there, it's Marsh all the way.
Like every cough, he's like, you know, he's got a high protein diet. Don't fucking look at me like I'm out of my mind here.
Well, he's not the yoked John Cena he was.
He's yoked enough.
He's kind of small now.
Not everywhere. Now, the other thing about the Toni Storm match, once her nose gets broken, there's like 2 minutes of her just trying to get her footing back. And I was like, God, did she get like a full-on concussion from that? Because her feet
that's what I thought she did. She had.
Yeah, they were not communicating. The way I don't mean like the two of them. I meant like the two of her feet were not communicating with each other or her brain. She was all over and trying to fucking get her bearing back and working her ass off through it. And Jamie Hayter did everything she could to help her get through it.
Mm-hmm.
I also think they do too much sometimes when it comes to the finishes. Like you had Rebel come down, hit. Tony's already got a broken nose. You hit her in the face with the belt, and then she still kicks out of the finish. Then you have Britt Baker come out and stomp Tony into the belt. And this is also after several minutes in between those two things. Then you also have Tony hit her face on the turnbuckle that's exposed to finally get the victory. And it's like, this person's wrestling with a literally broken nose, and all of these things should be big enough and bad enough and important enough to like be the thing to do it. And none of them does. I don't know that any one thing was like, oh, now that's enough for Toni. It's like, she's got a broken face and you just hit her in the face with metal. Like, just call it.
You're
just
making
be done.
It worse.
Yes, you're making it worse.
Like, what did Toni Storm do to you bitches? Because you're making it worse.
Oh yeah, I felt like that match could have ended on the Rebel spot, but they had to get Britt Baker out there. And then with the face stomp thing, I was like, just fucking end it there. That's fine. And then they do the whole turnbuckle thing, making Paul Turner look like a fucking jack off because he's sitting there trying so hard not to turn around while Britt Baker is climbed on top of the turnbuckle. Like she's not even like just like a koala, hunched over this thing, top rope, trying to yank the thing off in a way that no one's ever done. The most obvious way to do it in the most awkward stance to have. And Paul Turner's all like, yep, I don't see the giant fucking person over standing above my head, wiggling around like crazy. They just didn't need all of that for this match to have had the same reaction in the end. But
Paul Turner,
it still probably was my favorite match of the night.
Paul Turner was probably thinking to himself, fuck.
I know.
Why?
He's over there counting and he's like in his peripheral vision just goes like, God damn it.
He's looking down, like trying to look at the corner of his eye, and he's trying to look away. Damn it.
Yeah, he's like, I might as well just start trying to tie my shoe, something that's a little more obvious. I'm trying not to look.
And then he's sitting there thinking probably too, why didn't fucking Aubrey Edwards fucking ref this match?
Yeah, I should have given this match away.
But it's a serious match, so I have to be here.
Yep. Speaking of not serious matches, let's go to the main event. Jon Moxley versus MJF for the World interim child championship.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Before
Not
we go
interim.
into it,
Hmm?
because I know you don't like the fucking the radio hits as people's entrance.
Correct. I do not like that.
Mm-hmm. So are we still feeling this Moxley? I don't think you
Not at
ever
all.
felt the
I never
Moxley.
have.
But if they did change it to the Sam Kinison one,
Yes,
I
would love
really
it.
want to meet Moxley just to say, yo, okay, you know what you need, and it's more appropriate for you if you're going to use a version of Wild Thing. You need Sam Kinison's.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hate his music 100%.
Yeah, because I think Major League every time. And I know you say it's Bush League, so I always think of the movie. And I think of Charlie Sheen. And those are two things that I don't want to think about when I'm watching wrestling.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So MJF was clearly the babyface here, even though they're like he turned heel at the end, but he didn't. Because as soon as he won, the whole crowd lost their shit. Like it was Daniel Bryan winning at WrestleMania 30. And that's all well and good and fine. I don't have a problem with that. But it really complicates it because I even I've had people talk about like, okay, MJF's turning heel, but it's just a farce. It's just a gag. It's a swerve. He's going to actually be heel the whole time and he got you. What do you mean got me? You know what I mean? Like he's a babyface. He's getting cheered. Yes, he shouldn't be doing the whole like, come on guys, let's get behind me. But he's doing it and they are getting behind him. He wins, they cheer. Even after he cheated to win, they still cheered. He's the babyface, like it or not. So even if he comes out and says, gotcha, you're like, no, you got yourself. Like, you are a face now. Like, you're a good guy no matter what you do. You could do bad guy things. You're getting cheered. So that puts, so if you're just an asshole getting cheered, it was one of the problems that Eric Bischoff even said they had with the NWO. At a certain point, the bad guys were so cool that nobody wanted the good guys to win. So then who's the underdog here, right? How do you book where the bad guys are so cool that no one wants them to win, that your good guys look like dweebs for being good guys? Like there's no explanation if he goes, I got you. I just wanted you all to think I was a good guy. To what end? You know what I mean? Like, what sense would that make at all to say, I got you. I fooled you into thinking I was a good guy when I was a bad guy all along. So what? They're all still cheering you. What's the logic behind pretending to be a good guy to fool everyone who's saying he's pretending? Because that's the other thing. Everyone's going, oh, he's just pretending. Gotcha. No, you didn't. And also, who the fuck cares? It's like the weirdest dumb prank. It's like the kind of shit I would do to my sister growing up. You walk into her room and turn the light off and walk out. Gotcha. I guess. You know what I mean? I guess you got me. I had to get up and turn the light on again, but it's not like you ruined my night. It's not like you fooled me. It's not like I feel tricked. It's just you did a thing in front of me that was obvious and you're laughing about it. And it's weird that you find it so amusing. I don't understand how the MJF babyface turn could ever be explained away to make you go, there he is. There's the bad guy I really liked. That's still good guy shit. If you like him, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? And this match was too cute. MJF was doing all sorts of cutesy shit. He was doing all his Cody Rhodes moves. He was overselling into the camera like he was pretending to be a good guy struggling. He was doing like Hogan style shit. Like it was too cute. He was trying so hard to be putting on a good guy wrestler act that it came off as like a cutesy thing where it's all like, yeah, we don't care. Like we want you to win. And he goes, isn't it kind of funny how I'm all like, oh, I'm in pain. And you're like, no, like just win. It's fine. Like it was the most out of place stuff for him. And I don't see a purpose for it on the other end. If he just goes, gotcha, I'm a bad guy. And everyone goes, yay, still a bad guy. Woo! What the fuck? No one's booing him and they're not gonna. It's just, it makes no sense. But on the flip side, he absolutely should be their champion. And I think it's really good that he is. And I think it's cool. But all this, like, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Bullshit is just that. It's just bullshit. None of the booking makes sense around it. It's fine. Whatever he says or does, they're cheering. So, yeah, be a bad guy. We'll still cheer you. That's good guy shit. It's weird they're trying so hard to overcomplicate it when it's just that simple. Are you being cheered? Yes. Well, if I do this, will you be cheered? Yes, but I'll be bad guy when I do it. Are you being cheered? It's a yes or no. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What'd you think of all this?
I don't think he was a good guy at all. Who said
they were trying really hard? They were trying really hard. I'm not going to use the ring on commentary. Commentary busted open. All the fucking gurus online. Oh, look at all this good guy shit he's doing. He's out there hyping up the crowd when he came running out and like, hey, whoa. And he's like, come on, guys. Oh, right here in the great city of fucking wherever the fuck, Poughkeepsie. I don't know. He was doing the classic good guy stuff, but I felt like it, and everyone said it's really clever because he's actually still a bad guy. He's just getting them to cheer for him right now. They cheered for him before, so it's not that clever. They're just cheering no matter what he does.
He's not a bad guy. A good guy. I mean,
I know.
He's always been a bad guy. It's like, who did this narrative? Okay.
But
and I know you said,
cheered, you're the baby
and all
face.
of these people. Yeah. And I'm gonna say this, okay? I don't listen to those fucking kind of people because they don't know what they're talking about usually. And even if it's a wrestler, they really don't because they're not understanding the concept of fucking Tony Khan. You don't have to do fucking lines to fucking know his booking and understand it because the novelty that is MJF is he's one, he can go either way, right? But all it is at the end of the day is someone who's this naughty fucking person who, is polarizing.
Yeah.
Just like Phil. Except we don't know because MJF is so close to the chest with his gimmick that we don't know if he's truly an asshole. Phil, we knew he was an asshole.
Yes, but we also know because of MJF's gimmick that we know he's truly not an asshole. Because he gets a ton of play and a ton. Yes, we do. We know it because we've seen what happens in the wrestling business when you're actually an asshole. We've seen it happen time and time again. We watched it happen with the Ultimate Warrior. We watched it happen with Phil right here. We've seen it happen a ton of times. We saw what happened to Shawn Michaels back in the day. I'm not saying these people didn't make amends and do other things. Assholes in the back aren't celebrated by literally everyone on camera. Everyone in their little interviews, MJF's great. He's a real asshole, but he's just one of those guys you can't deny. You know what I mean? No. Listen to how people talked about Ultimate Warrior in the 90s. People would go on those radio stations and they would call him, like Meltzer called him the anabolic warrior. He would just say, these steroided out assholes who are terrible to work with keep getting pushes. I don't understand why. They wouldn't say, oh, but he's got undeniable charisma. They never said that. You know what I mean? Like,
here's the thing is, wrestling nowadays versus back then is very fucking PG. Okay.
Yes.
PG. Like if something were to happen like the plane ride from hell nowadays, that would never happen. Never. Because these guys are way too, I guess, they are trying to protect their mony. Let's put it that way. So,
but we saw what happened to Punk because he was a real asshole. That's not what's happening to MJF.
Well, with MJF, like I said, we don't know. We don't truly know.
Yes, I truly know.
We don't know.
He's a guest on everyone's podcast. Phil's not.
But here's the thing though.
No one wants to talk to Phil. Sam Roberts invites MJF into his fucking house whenever he can. Well, not because he's an asshole when he gets there.
But is he part of the tribe, Sam Roberts?
Which tribe?
The Jewish tribe.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's Cole Commander. They all. Never mind. But
they're not going to protect an asshole. They're not going to invite him into the house.
Yeah, but you don't know. But
you know what Passover's about? Whatever.
That's not for Sam Roberts to blow his cover. Okay, like that.
No,
that's not for him to do that. Sorry, Sam, you're wrong.
You know who blew the cover to me?
Who?
Taz. Before Taz got into AEW, every episode he would talk about how good MJF was and how he wanted to have him on and how he's talked to the guy and how he's a generational talent that you have to take a look at. And then he goes, well, he's a total asshole. Like, that's the thing about him is like, he's not living a gimmick. He's definitely not living the gimmick. He's like, that's just who he is. It's not a gimmick with him. Really not a gimmick. That's the thing about him. no gimmick here. He's actually an asshole. He's just so good. And you're all like, you're trying so hard to convince me a guy's an asshole while talking about how good he is that I know he's not an asshole. Because if he's an asshole, you'd say, fuck you, dude. Good luck on your own. Especially Taz. Taz isn't taking shit from no one.
There's only one person who I think that would be, yeah, you know, he's an asshole that I can verify. That's Alley Catch, but that's another story for another day.
They all protect MJF is what I'm saying. And it's clear as day. So it's phony, but it's fine because it's a character.
No
one's ever said he's actually a really nice guy. They just do shit that makes you know, oh, they would only do that for a nice guy.
Well, no, that's not true.
Yes, it is.
Look at Colt Cabana. Colt Cabana's a nice guy. He got fucked. And a lot of people chose sides.
By
which
Punk.
They shouldn't have. Okay. Not everyone does that. You're only a true asshole if you really, to this day, still believe and take a side.
No, maybe.
But
did you see the MJF promo in the scrum?
Yes, I did.
A lot of people were saying this is a generational promo. This is a promo people are going to go back and watch over and over. This is amazing. This is what makes him the best of all time. You know what I saw? Another MJF promo where he says nothing and says, watch on Wednesday. That's what it was. He said nothing and said, watch on Wednesday. Yeah. And he yelled a lot. He yells too much. I don't buy him yelling. A lot of F-bombs. I also thought it was peculiar that it was almost exactly 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Do you know why?
Why?
Because Twitter only allows you to do 2 minutes and 20 seconds worth of video. He wanted his entire promo to make it in a Twitter video. And it did. And it circulated more than anybody's else's because it was the entirety of it and it fit in a Twitter video. I felt like that was really fucking specific. However, I would say not everyone's got a good mental clock like that to know if it's counting down very well. Makes me think this dude does improv with Nick Houseman. You heard it here first.
And Colt Cabana. Remember?
And Colt Cabana. They're all best friends.
They're all best friends. They're all probably Jewish too. They're the same tribe. No. No. But I will say what from that promo, it was hilarious because to me, I'm like, you're basically telling people I told you so, which I can appreciate that because I like to do that.
Yeah. But
it also was one big advertisement for that company.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
a nod to Jim Cornette because he ended it with "Thank you, fuck you, bye." That's how Jim Cornette's been ending his podcast for like what 5-6 years.
I don't know. I don't listen to him because he's an asshole.
Sure.
I don't.
But I think it's funny that MJF knows that their fan base hates Jim Cornette and he quotes Jim Cornette and then everyone says, look at this. This is brilliant. And then watching, because the fan base hates Jim Cornette, they're not listening to him. You watch all these people put "thank you, fuck you, bye" in quotes and put MJF underneath it. It felt like in The Office when Michael Scott said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take in quotes and then said Michael Scott and then in quotes put quoting Gretzky or whatever. Like, it was all like, I'm quoting a quote. And it was so funny to me to watch everyone quoting his quote as though he had said it first. I thought that was hysterical.
Yeah. But then on the flip side, now you have Ricky Starks, who is his new thing is, his whole, he has this whole thing like about him, this absolute whatever because he even said it twice in these promos the last couple of days. And he was telling the chick, like I said on here before, I said this, I'm like, are you guys trying to get your own signature bullshit out there? Because this is hilarious to me.
They're trying.
But, it's funny because, okay, when you look back at All Out and that scrum.
Yeah.
And how Tony was reacting.
Muffin Gate, I call it.
Muffin Gate, okay. Muffin Gate. Tony had those weird cracked out reactions. This one, he just sat there.
Just
like
a
he knew.
lump. Yeah.
It was a lump. Like, yeah.
Yeah. But I thought it was good. I liked it. Here's the thing about MJF. It's interesting to me. I think of MJF and LA Knight very similarly. And you're going to hear me talking about it. Or you know what? This is Thursday. You already heard me talking about it yesterday with Bishop. We're pre-recording one with Bishop too. LA Knight is such an amazing pro wrestler.
Does Bishop like LA Knight?
You fucking better. By now, I will tell you I've won him over. If he didn't before our show yesterday, he's won
an
over
asshole
now.
If he didn't before.
If he
Jesus
doesn't,
Christ.
yeah. That is true.
Christ.
So it makes him terrible.
You don't have to like Killer Cross, but you gotta fucking love goddamn LA Knight. Sorry.
The thing I find about here's the LA Knight versus MJF argument I have. They're both great pro wrestlers. And they're both of their gimmicks are really almost the same of just a pro wrestler who wants to win and make the most money and be on top. That's why they're here, because they think they're the best. They just go about it slightly different ways. They're both assholes about it most of the time. LA Knight has been able to pull off the babyface thing as well, and it works. MJF's proven that he's a babyface over in AEW. It works. So the classic pro wrestler gimmick can work. And it's interesting because it's not done a lot. But I feel like LA Knight comes off way more natural to me than MJF. MJF comes off as a character, as a person playing what he believes to be an asshole pro wrestler, where LA Knight, you go, this dude feels just turned up. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to say that LA Knight's better than MJF and MJF's not as good as LA Knight. I'm just saying there are very similar gimmicks performed in very different ways. And to me, it's easier for me to buy what LA Knight's saying is the first time he said it than MJF. MJF sounds rehearsed. He sounds cadenced. Like, listen to like the last 3 promos you thought of his was great. Anyone who's listening, the last 3 promos you remember thinking like this was awesome. His last one on Dynamite with Moxley, one of his ones against CM Punk, maybe one of his ones against Wardlow. He has the same cadence. The way he says it is a way to remember his lines because he's written out his promo in advance and he wants to remember it. LA Knight will change his cadence because he's just gonna say what he's gonna say. Is what it feels like, right? So for me, hearing MJF do this promo at the end felt like another MJF promo where he was just yelling and screaming with a cadence. But he said good shit, and that's just it. Is he always says good shit? He just doesn't say it in the most believable way, and I think that's the one hurdle he has for me. Not that he's got to win me over by any means. Like, fuck me, who am I? Just some idiot online. Matter of fact, if he even saw this clip, he'd be like, who the fuck is that idiot? He's just some idiot online. And you know what? You're right. I am. You don't need to win me over. But I am saying that I think the only thing for me that's a disconnect with him is that he doesn't come off super, like, he doesn't come off very, very natural. He comes off a little bit play and a little bit forced. And I think the more he tries to thumb down that this is just who I am all the time and I'm always this way and always talk this way, the more it becomes evident that you're not. Especially like I said with Sam Roberts, they had an interview not that long ago, and you can hear MJF talking naturally to a person having a conversation, still being a smarmy asshole, still saying shitty things. He rips on Sam's kids. He rips on Sam's wife's cooking. It's fucking great, but it's a different cadence than any of the promos he cuts. On the flip side, you ever talk to LA Knight outside of the ring, and he's talking in a very similar way. He just doesn't break into a catchphrase. That's the forced part with him. But he talks in a very similar way. Aha, not instead of nah, it's yeah, or whatever. It's like, oh, sounds great, man. Like he's got the same facial expressions, the same movements. You can see the difference in their comfortability there, and MJF turning it on versus LA Knight turning it up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But that's probably going to get a lot of heat. People are going to be like, I'm an idiot. I think that MJF's not as good as LA Knight. LA Knight's a jobber. Whatever. I like them both.
No, I mean, there's obviously a cut and dry. There's difference of promo. I don't think they're similar. No, I just think that the delivery of LA Knight it's a different delivery. And it can be, I mean, it can be a lot of different things. He has a lot of depth. MJF doesn't have that. And I think it's experience.
That's true. I do believe on that note, wholeheartedly, that in 5 years, MJF's going to be seamless. You know what I mean? Like the way that I feel like LA Knight was plug and play. When we saw him at Hard Times 3 years ago, I was like, my God, put this guy in the main event on SmackDown tomorrow. He was ready.
Sure enough.
MJF, I'm not saying he's not ready, but I'm saying there's a difference. And in 5 years, you're going to be like, holy shit, can we please have another 40 years of MJF?
Yeah.
But, you know,
he isn't even 30 yet.
He's not.
It's a
He's
huge
26. So the only other champions that I saw reported, and I don't know everything, who got a world championship at 26 was The Undertaker, The Rock, and Yokozuna.
Good company.
Not bad company one bit. I would definitely sit at a dinner table with the four of them around.
Maybe not Yokozuna.
Well, I'm not saying I would get all the food, but I would sit there.
Well, I'd be like squeezed in, like, hi. Oh my God. Okay. Elbow, personal space, guys. Personal space.
No. But yeah, overall, as much as I talk some shit on it and we're doing our thing and having fun and we're having drinks here in the dive bar, Full Gear was a pretty solid pay-per-view for the most part.
It was actually one of their better ones in a long time.
Do you think that, because here's the other deal. I've seen this a lot in the last number of times, that the builds of the pay-per-views are getting like worse and worse. And every pay-per-view, someone's like, this is the worst build I've had to a pay-per-view yet. Then the pay-per-view happens and they always say it over-delivers. Do you think where WWE has kind of trained us to think that the go-home shows and the ending of the programs is to turn up the desire to watch it, that Tony's taking the opposite approach to turn down the expectation of what they're going to get, so you always over-deliver? I'm not saying that one's right or wrong, or that Tony Khan's trying to let down the audience on his way to a pay-per-view, but I am saying, like, it almost feels intentional at a certain point that you keep having the weirdest go-home shows that disconnect and drive interest down, and then you go through and have the matches and the story on pay-per-view where you have people turn to their friends and say, you should probably check it out. Like, it might not be the worst way to go about it. I worked for a company for a long time that they said under promise and over deliver every time. If you think you can do someone, to a customer, you think you can do this thing for a customer, always tell them you can do half of what you think you can do. So when you do the one thing, it's double what they expected, right? Versus saying, I think I can do this thing, and then coming up just shy. Well, now you've let them down. You know what I mean? So what if that's Tony's fucking mantra here? Hey, under promise and over deliver every pay-per-view, baby. Just tell them it's going to be shit and give them something decent.
But it's always shit. Yeah, but that's where this one surprised me, because, you know, it was very predictable.
Yes.
In some varying degrees. But overall, it was good. There wasn't, the only things that really killed it were camera work killed it.
Yes.
The crowd. I'm going there. The crowd.
Yeah.
Because they have shitty crowds.
They did some shit.
And I'd say too much tomfoolery. Those are the things that killed it. Other than that, it was actually pretty good, considering it's an AEW production. Now, that being said, I think sometimes that with Tony, I don't think he really, after 3 years, really has grasped. Someone needs to kind of sit him down and say, look, bro, there are certain things that, you know, you have to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's where we're missing Cody, because I think Cody was was the voice of reason.
I agree with that.
And I think Tony didn't like that after a while. Once he thought he got in the swing of things.
He didn't like being challenged, probably. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you know, the Bucks aren't going to do it. That's not their thing. The Omega not going to do it. The only person is Jericho, you know, and that's quite obvious now because of everything that's happened. Because obviously now him and Mox, we're the leaders of this thing. Well, maybe Mox.
Well, then they just re-signed. They just extended Jericho's contract by like another 10 years or some shit.
Good God. You hear fucking Judas every fucking week.
It's crazy because
kill me.
I mean, it's crazy in some senses, but not in others when you think about it.
It's great in some senses, but you know, whatever. If you're a Chris Jericho fan, hey, great. Good on you. Okay. You know, I mean,
he's really trying to build a legacy, which is, there's something commendable about what he's trying to do here. he's really trying to build a legacy and really trying to show that his final years in the business are going to be very impactful and meaningful, and that he's doing something right.
Mhm.
I don't think it's all landing, but it's definitely what he's trying for, and there's definitely something commendable about that.
Yeah.
If I could be nice to Jericho for once, because I'm often not.
Well, I'll say this, okay? The only thing for me with Jericho is if you're going to take on this position, right? And everything that's happened, from fucking Muffin Gate, to now, you really need to make sure that everybody is held accountable for things. Everybody. You can't play favorites in this bullshit. You can't let some of these people fucking run shop when there's no reason for them to be doing that. Like the Britt Bakers, it's not a good thing, because when you're playing mean girls in the back, no one wants to go. And then you've got all these people that Tony that says playthings, right? They even joke about it on the air. It's like, that's not a good look, because if I were like a Ruby Soho or someone, I would feel like shit. I would. I'd be all, is that all I am? But I'm getting paid. But seriously, is that all I am? So yeah, you gotta keep that shit on lock. And Tony doesn't do that. Everyone wants to be Tony's friend. Okay. And I really, honestly, I don't think that that's the way to approach it. He should not be, all my wrestlers are friends. Because you know what? He's fucked a lot of them over. He has.
Yeah.
And looking at it now, it's like he promises a lot of shit to a lot of people, and it does not go through. The only ones who seem like they get their shit through is because that they've been kissing somebody's ass or whatever. But I don't know. Who am I to say? I just am on the outside. And I've never been in the business, but just as an outsider looking in, and because I think being an indie fan, I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. I've seen it with people. Okay. And I'm very observant. So a lot of things I see, and I'm just like, that's not how to be. And this is, and whatever. And I don't know. I'm just a Yahoo on here that just talks shit on a Thursday night.
Just a drinking buddy. Just a drinking buddy.
Just a drinking buddy. I'm a nobody.
Before we wrap it up.
Go ahead. But for some reason, there's influence there. But I also wanted to ask you, did you see Jamie Hayter in the scrum?
I saw a clip of it where she talked about how special it was for her to win, how everyone who's in the industry works really hard. So it's silly to say that, someone is a hard worker. And that if her career ended tomorrow, that she would be so thrilled with this as a cap for it. And I thought that was very cool. And I felt like it was classy.
It was the first question that was asked. It was about the unification.
Oh, what'd they say?
Tony cut her off real quick to make sure he answered it, and she didn't answer it at all.
Okay.
And I thought it was very interesting because he was basically trying to cover, what Tony has been saying. Tony Storm was saying about the unification.
Yeah.
He's in a very tough spot with that. And I think,
he put himself there.
He did put himself there. It's like you allowed for that behavior to happen. Okay.
Well, beyond let's just rephrase that, because that's going to sound like you've allowed Thunder Rosa to have the behavior of faking an injury, and that is not what we're saying.
No. That's not what I'm saying.
He allowed for the behavior initially for the men to have an interim title, so they wouldn't have to strip them of the title, to where he felt cornered to have to do the same thing for the women, who, when Thunder had her injury and it was found to be much worse than what the man went through, she was now put in a position to hold on to an interim title for much longer because of that. His decisions to be made, not a Thunder Rosa thing.
But now he's trying to say, well, like he wants to renege on that. That's what his answer made it sound like. But go back and watch that first one, because I was like, what the fuck, dude? Like, it just kind of threw me for a loop. And then there was another one too where the Acclaimed, someone asked them about on Wednesday on Dynamite, the rap, because there were a lot of things that were kind of digging and, and whatnot. And they were very they were laughing about it because I guess something had happened or something was said during the rap. But it was very interesting that, they had addressed things about the internet media, and I just
I don't
it was
listen to
really
their raps, so you'd have to tell me. I don't know.
I don't know what it was
fast
either.
forward. They're loud and obnoxious to me, so I just skip their segments because I don't.
But it was interesting because it's like they're basically saying that you guys just make shit up and all this other stuff. And Tony was laughing, all of them were laughing. But it's really interesting to me because then,
I will say this in defense of the wrestling media, not that I'm defending them. I don't think they ever make shit up themselves. I think they are fed shit that is made up that they believe. They always run with what they said without being able to fact check everything that they're hearing.
Well, also, what is the qualification to be wrestling media? Because they had somebody yesterday, new person all up in there, and I was like, what the fuck? So you're letting fans now who do a podcast get to go to these media things? Because let me tell you, don't make me fly Marsh out to San Francisco so we can both go into that media scrum after Revolution and ask these questions where we're probably going to get kicked out because they're fucking real and hard hitting and not like, oh well, congratulations on the women's title. Blah, blah, blah.
If I'm being honest, we meet all of the qualifications for anyone to be considered a wrestling journalist or wrestling media in this current atmosphere, for sure. But something I think you might find kind of fascinating is I produce Pro Wrestling Spotlight with John Arezzi. His co-host is Bob Smith from the Pro Wrestling Insider. Oh, whoops. He was a sports journalist before he got on with Pro Wrestling Illustrated, and he had mentioned on one of their episodes, so it's worth going back and listening, that back in the day when he became a journalist, you had to have a journalist degree, a journalism background, and several articles that had already been published in the sports field. Nowadays, it's quite often word of mouth. Who's a fan? Show me a sample of your writing. Do you have a podcast? It's all like it's just fan for fan now. Where back then it was because it was so much kayfabe and they wanted to protect it. There was a much more kayfabe realm around the journalism too. We need actual journalists to report this stuff to give the kayfabe sense of the sport, right? So I would say that there's every bit of what we do qualifies for wrestling media, but I wonder if they have a limit on what's your follower or listenership or something like that.
Okay, because here's the thing. It's no secret that wrestlers listen to us. Yeah. We have proof. It's episode 1. And I know for a fact that things that you've said and I've said have been quoted by people. Because I didn't hear that kind of shit anywhere else. So, and I think we do have a scope of influence. You more so probably than me. I'm just like the big mouth, but a lot of people.
I'm just even keel.
You're even keel with your 5 different million shows, because there's probably a reason why Medusa was like pro you, I'm just
honestly
saying.
I think it's because we got along. I don't think that she gave 2 shits about my show. I think it was because we got along when we met.
Really?
We had very good conversations. We had very different views, and the conversation was fruitful because that's what we've been talking about here since episode 1. We're all here for the conversation. Whether you like it or whether you don't, you shouldn't get your blood pressure out of whack. You shouldn't be making enemies to the core. We're all talking about fun TV shows that we like or live events that we like. We're talking about play fighting in a really serious sense, and that's the fun part, as long as no one takes it too seriously. But also the fun part is sometimes taking it too seriously. It's like when you drink with your friends. That's the whole reason we're the dive bar of the IWC. You can yell and scream about TV shows. Should Ross and Rachel be back together? Just yell at the top of your lung. But at the end of the day, you're having drinks with your friends, talking about shows that you like. That's what we're doing here. And I think that mentality came across, and that's why she's like, you'd be good to co-host this with me. And that's why I also do
That's fucking awesome.
paving the way.
But yeah,
and if you look, Trash Talk, we started a wrestling podcast, me and Medusa. Trash Talk, first episode's already out, talked about Nick Aldis and NWA. So worth checking out. Go to youtube.com/Queen of Carnage. Go ahead, finish your sentence.
No, I was gonna say, well, not some of us have enemies.
Yes,
that'd be me.
You've done that. I have not.
No, you have not. But I think you're guilty by
Except
association.
Sean Spears.
So.
That's true.
Oh, but that's you. That's you. You did
it's
that.
All me.
You and
that's
Sean
true.
Spears did that. That was your thing.
That's true. Okay. And he's got no idea we have heat, so it's different.
Maybe he might. I don't know. Someone might listen to the show who knows him and is like, hey, Spears, the fucking ref dude, he's got beef with you. What the fuck's up with that?
I think you're an asshole. He says it all the time.
It'd be nice, but I don't know. But what I'm saying is you're probably hated by association, Ocean Spray.
Oh, I wouldn't know about him specifically, but I do think that I do think that associating with you directly has made positive and negative influences on others. You know what I mean? Like my association with Roy now has been great, and that came through you. Mm-hmm. So anybody who likes the Cauliflower Alley Club, give them a little follow and keep track of them. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, I'm working with them next year. So
I know you will be. You're working with all sorts of people. You will be, but I would say negative would be, oh God, that girl's a bitch. But but you know what? I call it how it is. And I only associate with the good people. And if I think you're a piece of shit, there's probably a reason why I think you're a piece of shit.
And at the end of the day, like I said at the beginning, we're talking about wrestling. So if someone I can't stand that person because of their opinions about wrestling, it's like, okay, we may have gone too far already.
Oh, that already happens with me.
We probably already need to step back a little bit.
Yeah, people do that. Listen to Marsh, because y'all do that to me. Okay.
It's weird.
And I've been some places I'm not comfortable going because y'all started that narrative, not me. Not me.
In defense, I have muted plenty of people online that I just strictly disagree with everything they've ever said. And I just not interested in having conversation with them because of how much vitriol they respond with when people do have a differing opinion. So there's a number of people I've muted because it's like, well, we'll never get along. That person's pretty mean to people they disagree with. And I don't agree with anything they say. No point in us interacting anymore.
Exactly.
So
you don't have to like us. You can mute me. You can block me. I don't care. I've got lots of people blocked me. I don't give a shit.
I do want to ask you about one more thing before we talk a little bit about, before we put over our sponsor and have last call. There was an article that came out that specified that Colt Cabana, who you may have heard of, had a wrestling match on a Dynamite, which you may have been aware of. That created a larger tension between AEW and CM Punk as they're negotiating his exit, which I thought was funny because the argument being, because this was immediately followed up by, so at the scrum, Nick Hausman, shout out to the Houseman, asked Tony direct, did you or did you not, or did CM Punk or did CM Punk not ask you to remove Colt Cabana from the AEW locker room and move him to Ring of Honor? And Tony said no. CM Punk never said anything about Colt Cabana to move him, to remove him from the locker room, or take him to Ring of Honor. That was his statement, right? However, if you're going to tell me in one statement, CM Punk says, I don't care where he lives. I don't care where he eats. I don't care where he works. I don't care where he doesn't work. I don't care where he eats. You're like, okay, you don't care, but you seem really impassioned by the act of what he's doing in his existence, right? If you don't care about any of that, and you're going to say that CM Punk said nothing about him ever, then how could a man having a match on TV create tension? Those stories don't coexist in a world of reason. So to me, it was more of an indictment and then trying to backpedal. Ooh, CM Punk didn't like that. I thought he doesn't like him. He doesn't care about him. I thought he didn't ask him to be removed. No, he didn't. He just hates that he was being used. So that feeling wasn't present in the back. You know what I mean? To me, as an outsider looking in, my presumption would actually be that CM Punk never said the words, "Get Colt Cabana out of here. I don't want to see Colt Cabana ever. Take him to Ring of Honor." I do believe that anytime his name came up, he said, "I'd rather not talk about him." Anytime he walked by him, he goes, "Man, I hate bumping into him." Anytime there was any way to undermine Colt, he took advantage of that and said, "Wouldn't he be good at Ring of Honor more so than here?" I think things like that were probably more prevalent than the direct command, "Tony, you get Colt out of here." I think he was very careful with his wording to say, "If Colt's here, I'm not." You know what I mean? Like, it was a little bit different and a little bit more conniving. And I think that saying that created tension exploits that, and then saying that he never said that just edifies that that's been my perception for a while.
Shout out to Nick Hausman for asking the hard-hitting questions.
Nick Hausman's the man.
I expected Tony Khan to give a bullshit answer like that.
Yep.
He's got to be the good guy. Okay? He doesn't do anything wrong.
Yes.
All right? Here's my take. We all know Phil. Phil's a dick. I'm pretty sure Phil doesn't hide anything. Okay? I'll respect the fact he's like me. He tells it how it is. He doesn't fucking care. If it benefits him, then, he's going to say it even more so. I don't do that, but that's where we differ. So I'm pretty sure one of the first things that was said the first day he arrived, because Colt was there the first day he was there, right? Is he probably was like, "I do not want to see this person. Don't want to be anywhere near this person. Can we make sure that does not happen?"
Yeah.
And when you say that to the boss, he's like, "Oh, okay," because he's giving this guy a shitload of money and thinks he's going to make his money back tenfold. That would happen. Colt would probably be, and I'm only saying this is because this is how, what I've seen of Colt over the years. Colt does not like drama. Okay, so he probably is like, "Okay, I'll just stay away. Okay, I don't want to cause any friction for anybody." And he probably is just like, "I'll just go hide in my little whatever. I don't have to be around." Because that's what Colt Cabana does.
Yeah.
Trust me. I know this. And if Colt Cabana's like, "No, you're a liar," I'll say, "I have receipts, buddy." Anyways, I do. But I think that the passive aggressive comments were always made because, it was one of those things where, when Colt sued him for that, yeah, it was a bitch move. But again, you don't say certain things if you're not gonna, if you didn't mean it. And I think that was the biggest thing with it. And Colt, more than anybody, knew the guy was a dick. And he protected him for years. So I'm really sure that it was said and hinted many a time.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that the words are like, "Oh, when he was working with Ring of Honor, this is what he did," and blah, 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 blah. So that was the way to get Colt out of Punk's hair. And of course, Tony Khan taking it up the ass. Oh yeah, okay. And that's what happened. I think Tony Khan's a liar as far as this situation goes.
I think he's a liar.
With a lot
of situations go.
That situation, he's a liar. And I think a lot of other situations too.
Yeah.
He promises people a lot of things and it doesn't pull through.
Yeah.
Okay. How can you be really buddy with Joey Janela and then all of a sudden now there's friction?
Yep.
Joey Janela's one of the most real motherfuckers I know.
Yeah. I want to talk to him when his NDA is up. There's no way he doesn't have an NDA.
Oh, me too. I want to have a little interview session. I'm going to ask him when his NDA is up.
I think it'd be great. Just let him go fuck on Buck Wild. Give him a couple little treats.
No. I want to ask him in person, so that's why I haven't messaged to ask him, because I'm like, yo, when's it up? Because I want to have first.
Is it up by Mania season? Because if it's up by Mania, we could do an in person out in LA.
Yeah, I'm like,
'Cause he'll
Joey,
be there.
all we need is to get Kim some fucking Marlboro Lights, fucking whatever drink of
Keystone.
choice
Is he a
he likes.
Keystone Light guy? Oh, he's a White Claw guy, right?
Well, I don't know. He drinks a lot of different shit, so I'd have to ask him what mood he was in. So, but
I'll bring a bottle of
seriously.
whiskey, and I don't bring shit whiskey.
Yeah, I know you don't. No, I know you don't. No. But I will say this too, is like, I think that we should have an off segment where, because I can get a lot of the wrestlers to, let's sit down and bullshit.
Do they like cigars? I'll bring a shitload of cigars too. We just have a fucking powwow.
He's a cigar person. He's a cigar person. Starks is, MJF is, really? Marty. A lot of them.
I got like hundreds of cigars. I'm big into it.
So I know you do. You look like a fucking walking humidor. But like I said, I don't trust Tony Khan. I really don't. And in this situation, 100%, that was a bullshit answer.
For sure.
For my father's grave. That's a bullshit answer.
I think for sure. I didn't believe a second what he said. Let's wrap it up on this one thing though, because this just came out like 2 hours ago. During the scrum, Jungle Boy did say that he was dressed in Shawn Michaels inspired gear from '97 Hell in a Cell, and that it was a dig on Luchasaurus, who'd always said it was his favorite match. So he was trying to like get in his head. So Austin Gunn tweeted out a picture of him and his brother coming out in Shawn Michaels inspired gear, saying "Kid wants to be a gun so bad." To which Jungle Boy said, "I don't know. I think I prefer being booked on pay-per-views." To which Colton Gunn said, "I guess if we changed with the Bucks and stayed up until 6 a.m. with the boss, we could get a spot too." I love that shit. He just cannot get his locker room in order. How do you stay up till 6 a.m., Tony? Answer the question.
I know.
If you stay up till 6 a.m., but you're up by 10, how do you keep going all day? Tony, answer the question. Tony.
That's why you need to go. I need to fly you up. Revolution. We need to go and be the media. Because if they can make this one chick and her husband, who are new fans of wrestling, not even 2 years into it, and they're media, why can't our little show be media? We've broken stories.
Oh, yeah.
We have.
Because we're drinking buddies.
We're drinking buddies, and that's what you do when you drink. You fucking talk shit.
You talk the shit. Hell yeah.
Seriously, because what would you think would happen when you go, I'm Ref Marsh from, Wrestling on the Rocks. They would be, okay, well, what the fuck, right?
It'd be funny to go up there and like just to be a dick. This is Ref Marsh from Wrestling on the Rocks, Pro Wrestling Spotlight with John Arezzi and Trash Talk with Medusa. I have a quick question. Like,
and I would sit there.
They're like, what the fuck?
Oh my God, we got to do it. I'm such a shit starter. We got to do it. And I swear, if I go up and say, MsAmandaJayne and Tony Khan's like, fuck. God damn it, who let this bitch in? Dude, Tony Khan.
Have you ever thought about making Scroll Scout cookies?
Scroll Scout cookies?
Yeah.
Like after Marty?
Yeah.
That's a very good, interesting thought. Are you talking
let's toy with
something
that.
Or without something?
I don't know. Maybe with something.
Well,
let's figure it out. Let's work on that a little bit. We'll get the ball rolling on the Scroll Scout cookies. Maybe we make a design of a box and send it his way.
No, it'd be great is if I can get him gear. I don't sew, but I'd have to work with someone. I can design the gear. I can see it now as a vision.
All right.
Okay.
Let's do it. MsAmandaJayne, I do want to say before we go that if anybody here, like you said, who may be a wrestler or otherwise, you might have aches and pains and you may have anxieties. Things you can do to combat that would be a place like curable.com, KURIBL.com. If you use promo code MADTHANKS or promo code PWS, you can get 20% off any order. This is premium CBD products. I've been trying it for a little while here. They got Delta 8, Delta 9 if you're in states in which they can ship those items to. Otherwise, they do have CBD isolate which has 0 THC in it. They've got gummies, teas, face masks, roll-ons, muscle creams, dry sprays. They have a ton of things here. And if you have pets, huh?
How do you have a face mask with?
So it's a CBD infused face mask that you put it on.
Oh, is that the sheets?
Yes.
Well, I'm about to try one of those.
They're very cool. I haven't gotten one yet. They have bath bombs. I still have to try that. I was going to do that. I was going to work out really hard and get sore and then do it. I just have not wanted to do the first part yet. We'll get there. But they've got a ton of stuff. And you got pets, they got dog treats. If you got horses, they have horse feed with CBD. So your horses don't get anxiety or pain when you have to nail in those shoes or whatever. I don't know how that works.
I don't either. I'm not.
I don't understand contracts, but
I don't understand,
I do understand
farm animals.
But I do understand CBD and curable.com, KURIBL.com, promo code MadThanks or promo code PWS, whichever one you can remember to get 20% off all of your CBD. Kurt Angle uses it. Medusa uses it. Like, if you can, if you have a broken neck and you go, this stuff's pretty good, I'm going to listen to that guy.
You should send them to Soraya.
Yeah. She probably has Kurt Angle's number, though.
Yeah. And then
Kurt,
Tony Storm, that must hurt.
Tony Storm could use some CBD. They have even the tinctures, which are very good. The little droplets go under your tongue. They have a cinnamon flavor one that I've been having that's awesome. So is what it is.
I can't wait to try.
Yeah. But for everyone else out there in Thanksgiving land, I'm glad that you came through to have a drink with your drinking buddies on Thanksgiving Day of all days away from your family and friends. I hope that this was sweet relief from the drama that is your family around the turkey table.
So what are you thankful for in wrestling right now?
Bailey. Sami Zayn, for reals, though. Everything that's happening for Sami Zayn has been amazing. Solo Sikoa getting his shot has been awesome. LA Knight starting a feud with Bray Wyatt. As much as I'm not looking forward to LA Knight eating that loss, I am loving every minute of their interactions. And if you have not seen SmackDown yet, Miss Amanda Jane, this is a SmackDown you should go back and watch.
I'm going back to watch it because I was trying to the other night and I fell asleep, but definitely going back because it's been looking really good. Some of the clips I've been seeing, Sami Zayn's killing me. I gotta watch.
So I mean, 3 segments with LA Knight.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I can't wait. I'm gonna have to do that soon. But yeah. But I will say this. I'm thankful for Mandy Rose being quite an excellent NXT Women's champion. She's really elevated a lot of people in that organization and that show. So I'm very thankful for that.
Did you see Thunder Rosa put her over on Busted Open too?
I did.
And they had a little interaction on Twitter back and forth. When your faves are loving on your faves, it's such a good feeling.
It's the best thing ever. And my thing is, it's like, if you've got the fucking seal from fucking Thunder Rosa,
you know you're doing something.
Yeah, because, I mean, she's probably right now, these 2 women are probably right now some of the best female wrestlers in the world right now. Yeah. And I would kill to see Mandy versus Thunder Rosa. I don't know how that would happen unless Thunder Rosa somewhere, but for now.
Yeah.
So definitely thankful for that. I am thankful that Ethan Page is finally kind of getting a shot. What happens, we don't know. I'm thankful for, actually, one thing is all my wrestling buddies and you guys tuning in to watch episode 1. I know we're kind of crappy, and maybe one day we'll get to episode 2. I don't know, but we've got close. So I'm thankful, definitely thankful for all you.
And a quick shout out and to Kairi Sane returning to the ring, having the tournament, and being the first ever IWGP Women's Champion.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
So cool.
That is pretty cool.
And seeing the emotion on her face in all the different pictures. Every picture I see that comes across my feed makes me happier than the last. So keep posting them, guys, because this is it was really cool.
I can't wait to see that at Wrestle Kingdom. Her match.
And a nod to Bailey for murdering her to send her back to Japan. The last thing she did on WWE TV was get beat the shit up by Bailey. And she was just unconscious on the ground while Bailey was banging her head on the ground. So it's like, did she murder her? Because she never came back. And then you go, yeah, kind of. So,
yeah. And I will be thankful. Okay, I know this is the day after Dynamite. If Colt Cabana was on the Dynamite in Chicago, I will be thankful. If not, fuck you, Phil. Fuck you, Chicago. Fuck you, Tony Khan.
Dude. Absolutely. And guys.
Oh, we didn't even say that.
What?
With the Elite. When they came out, the whole chant. That was a beautiful chant.
That was funny. The crowd was chanting hilarious. Fuck CM Punk. Someone had mentioned, though, that it was because of where they were. They were in Jersey, correct?
Yeah.
In Jersey, even when he was the Ring of Honor champion, that CM Punk was booed in Jersey, and he used to refer to Jersey as the anti-Chicago. So there is the belief that some of this audience may have been skewed towards hatred towards him anyways, which
bullshit.
The chant may not have happened otherwise, but I'm glad it did.
I am too. If it can happen in Chicago, that would be fucking brilliant.
Well, because here's the other deal is sometimes people watch the show and they go, oh, we can say that? And then they chant it at the next one. So I hope every time the Elite comes out, a fuck CM Punk chant breaks out. That'd be nice.
I do too. And especially in Chicago. Because boy, that front row is going to feel really fucking awkward for wrestlers.
I also think that Tony Khan should not release CM Punk, should keep him under contract and monetize the shit out of his name and try and get his money back, but just never release him from his contract. So for the next 3-4 years, he's sitting on his ass. Keep making new t-shirts, making new figures, make Christmas ornaments, but also make a fuck CM Punk t-shirt.
Yep. But also, Ryan Barkin won't do that. But
why not?
But anyways, it should be a Colt Cabana one that says fuck CM Punk. But anyways,
it could have a little Colt Cabana smile in the F,
the smiley face with the headband. Oh yeah,
it'd be like F with a Colt Cabana smiley face, and then a CK. So like, remember Stone Cold's "Fuck Fear" shirt, but it has a skull where the U goes. Same thing, fuck CM Punk, but where the U is, it's Colt Cabana's face.
That would be a number one seller. That'd be top shirt of the year, I think.
Yeah.
But then also remember, Phil is going on some bootsy MMA program, and is every chance he gets to dig Tony Khan,
he's doing it.
He gets, and that's why I'm like, that's such a bullshit answer, Tony. The guy's talking shit about you. This was your fucking golden boy. If I were you, don't be political, man. Just say, you know what he did. Just fucking point the blame.
Yeah. It was a letdown. He did it. Yeah. And even say, look, he said it. I was swayed by him. I was caught up in the moment. I agreed with it. I was trying to make my top paid guy. And you go, okay, Tony,
it's okay
I get
to
it.
Be a fanboy. It's okay.
That's how we all got here.
I myself that when I freaked out in front of Luke Perry. Okay? Yeah. It's okay. Even Luke Perry validated that to me. It's okay to be a fangirl or a fanboy. It is. It's okay.
Yep.
Just don't be a fucking liar and fucking treat us like we're stupid. That's all.
Yep. That's it. Mm-hmm. That's the whole thing. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Miss Amanda Jayne, thank you for spending a little bit of pre-Thanksgiving on Thanksgiving, as this was pre-recorded. So anybody who was in the comments, thank you so much for popping in the comments and trying your hardest to derail the show, but you did not get us for the first time. So if Splinter Fox was in there, fuck you, dude. You couldn't do it.
Oh, yeah. Splinter Fox probably by now has had so many cryptic messages that Marsh is like, you need to fucking read
just crazy. Yeah. And then now I'm going to have to go through all the comments after the fact and like, oh, God, Splinter Fox blew me up.
And then all of a sudden, Bishop's going to say something really stupid. And it's like, terrible take. What the hell? Why are you even
outrageous?
Yeah. And then we'll get Hai in there as well. You always get a Hai. And then one of the brothers in time will pop in. Most likely Justin.
Yeah.
Yes. And he's going to cringe at the Mandy Rose positivity talk too.
Yeah. Grim Reaper's got a family now. There's no way he was in the chat. But Miss Amanda Jayne, thanks for coming through. Thanks everyone for being our drinking buddies over the past year as we keep doing it. And we'll be back next week right here in the dive bar of the IWC for a brand new episode 1. Guys, that's last call.
Cheers.
Hey, producer lady here. Thanks for tuning in. Continue to support us or buy us a drink by following and putting the I in subscribe on Twitch. or subscribe and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us. Cheers!
I would never have a drink with wrestling on the rocks.